Welcome to Lack of Focus, an X-Wing miniatures game podcast, brought to you by Dice 8 Productions. Hello everybody, welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 76, Turn 0, Part 2, Setup Theory. I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, our producer extraordinaire, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, good, thanks, Ed.
I screwed up the beginning. This is my third take, so hopefully this one works. If Kris is a good producer, he'll just leave the other two where I screwed up and just leave those.
In the ether, be fine.
Yeah, that'll be fine too. I'd prefer that. That's the beauty of editing, that all of my mistakes don't show up. So anyway, in this episode, we're continuing our three-part series, probably three-part series on the Turn Zero setup, which was driven by an email from a listener who asked a very simple question. I don't know what to do with my stuff whenever I set up, and that's really not an easy question. We decided to do this one in visual format, so maybe you're watching this one on Kris's YouTube channel, on Dice 8 on YouTube, where we're going to go over the actual setup. We discussed in part 1 some of the reasons why you would take specific obstacles for your list, and now we're going to show that. And as much fun as I'm sure it would be to hear all of that in an audio-only format, it's really much better to see in a visual. So I highly, highly recommend, if you're listening to this on your ride in, checking out the YouTube video notes so you can actually see what we're talking about. Plus, you get to see our happy, shiny faces. We're smiling, see? Or at least I... Oh, there. All right, there's Kris trying. All right.
I'm paying attention to far too many things, trying to get windows lined up and stuff.
Yep, see, that's what happened. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started as we usually do. Oh, yeah, just real quick. I don't know if Chad may or may not drop in. I didn't hear any word from him like he did last time, where he just kind of dropped in. We will be missing Sean, so it is just going to be the two of us tonight. But I think we can get through this one. Okay. What have you been doing lately, my friend?
Well, this week, Jill was working evenings on the weekend and then into this week. So I've been looking after Evie and being a parent. So
yeah, we missed D&D, and it wasn't even my fault this week.
No, I tried to do a D&D session where I think I pushed the start time back like half an hour one time. And then Evie just wouldn't settle, and I was just stressed, and I really didn't enjoy it. And I feel like I pushed that onto her. So, and it's not fair. Like, she's 3. She doesn't know. Shut up and go to bed so Daddy can play on the computer with his friends doesn't quite wash with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, especially when the routine we're pretty lackadaisical on her bedtime kind of thing. We'll let her play in her room a little bit if she's not tired, and she's really good. She'll put herself to bed. But obviously, if we're trying to do a D&D session, I like being able to try and focus on it. But
that's the right call.
Yeah, parenting, gotta do it.
Yeah, I was doing hey, has anyone done their homework? And I have 3 kids raise their hands who haven't done it. And this is at like 8:45. I'm like, I've got a show in 45 minutes. And I've got lists I've got to build real quick. So we're ready for tonight. And apparently I had to update Vassal, because somebody was kind enough to send a message out in the group chat to say, hey, you should do that. And I didn't pay attention. So I didn't do that. So we're actually recording a little bit later than we should be because of that.
No later than I expected with us trying to do this. Something a little bit different.
Yeah, setting up the stages and OBS and that kind of stuff so we can record good video for everyone. So
yeah.
So nothing else gaming-wise at all?
I've managed to finish painting one Banshee model from like the mid to late 90s. Trying to see if I could paint it to match with like the current Nighthaunt aesthetic. So that was pretty good fun.
So Banshee, as in, you're not talking like Eldar Banshees, are you?
No. For Age of Sigmar, so like the old undead, like screaming maiden.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because if you're talking the Eldar Banshees, it's probably still the same sculpt, because it's probably still a metal model.
The Banshees have got plastics now.
I'm half kidding on that.
There's been 3 Banshee sculpts now. We're on the 3rd set of Banshees.
Interesting, but fire dragons are still the same sculpt.
No, fire dragons have had 2. Yeah. Fire dragons got a new one with the, I want to say, 4th edition codex.
Okay, yeah. All right, so 4th edition. I started playing in 3rd edition, so that has been the same sculpt since
Look, man,
98, 99?
No. Third edition was no, because fourth edition would have been mid 2000s. Because editions used to last like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so it's only like 15 years old.
Maybe it was 3. Maybe it was 3. I can't remember. I should know because I've collected Baeltan like 2 or 3 times and like sold them and bought different ones again. And at one point I had all the iterations of the Fire Dragon so I could have different squads.
Yeah.
So I think there are 3 scoops of Fire Dragons, 3 scoops of Banshees, only maybe 2 of the Scorpions. I don't know. I know that the oldest model for a long time was the Wraithguard and the Warp Spiders.
Yeah, well, Warp Spiders didn't get updated, did they?
Probably not. I don't even know if they still exist.
I think they do. I know Wraithguard got updated. They've got plastic.
Yeah, the plastic ones are good.
Thank God, because those models were god awful putting together metal. There are a handful of them that are really. The one thing that I do miss the old metal dreadnought, and I recognize that it was a pain in the butt to put that together. And don't get me wrong, the plastic sculpts now are really, really impressive, but there was just something about a good, solid metal dreadnought. Oh,
and putting it in your sock and assaulting someone to death with it.
The old dreadnought in a sock, yeah, absolutely. And I think that was probably the second sculpt because, like, you had the old, like, Rogue Trader edition dreadnoughts, which I always wanted one just because I thought they were kind of cool. But, like, when you compare those to, like, the more modern dreadnought models, they're tiny. They're really, really tiny.
Yeah. What else have I done? I think I'm listening to the new Thrawn book at the moment. I finished Cursed City, the novel for that, which is kind of a prequel story for the game. Now I'm maybe 2 chapters into a new Thrawn book, so it's good. I like it.
So I saw an interview. It was a Q&A with Dan Abnett today. I don't know when GW released it. I don't know if it was GW or it was with another podcast, but he did a Q&A where they, like, people asked, like, all of the mysteries of the 40K universe, and they're like all the good ones he really couldn't get into. But he did get a couple of really cool ones, like, well, what does the Emperor look like? Like, really look like? And he's like, nobody knows. The Emperor exudes the vision and visage of whatever he feels he needs to at the time. But the one thing you could tell, so, like, there are definitely things that are behind a gate that, like, he absolutely cannot answer. Like, what happens if the Astronomicon fails? He couldn't answer that question. But they're having those conversations as they're getting closer and closer to the end of the Horus Heresy. Like, things like, well, how does the Astronomicon work? I mean, no, really. Like, we all get the idea of what it is, but how does it really work?
Well, you take the souls of 1,000 psychers and burn them up, and that burns bright enough to light the way through a warp. Easy.
Well, one of the things, like...
Remember, they're the good guys, folks. 1,000 psychers a day.
1,000 psychers a day. So one of the fan theories that I've always enjoyed was the fact that, like, well, if they would just let the Emperor die, he would reincarnate. Because that's kind of what happened. That's how, if you believe the old fluff, that's how he came to be in the first place. So somebody asked him that question, and I genuinely expected that's behind the guarded box, can't answer that question kind of response. But that's not the response he gave. The response he gave was, well, the Emperor dies several times a year and just reincarnates into the same body so to keep the Astronomicon going. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, so, like, the Emperor just keeps dying because he is a corpse and just keeps reincarnating and coming back into the same body over and over and over again, like this endless loop. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I never thought of that before. So I don't know if that's ever written anywhere, and maybe it's one of the newer books. I don't know. But he definitely alluded to, like, they're finally in the Assault on Terra, and 67 books into the Horus Heresy, they finally are getting.
Siege of Terra series is a different series, Ed.
I know, but
I've not read the newest one of those. I'm one book behind. Yeah.
I think I'm going to tax my Audible account heavily, because after having that interview, I totally forgot that Dan Abnett was the one that wrote Horus Rising. He wrote the first book in the series. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh, that just totally sparked my interest in wanting to get, like, but it's 67 books.
Generally, I think I'd end up doing you can buy 3 credits for a discounted price.
Right.
I end up doing that twice a year. So I do 18 audiobooks a year, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's probably a low estimate, and I'm just lying to myself.
Just lying. Well, because you get like your one free one a month plus those other 2. Well, and I burned a lot. I'm in the middle of the Brandon Sanderson Stormlight Archive. I'm into the 3rd book, Oathbringer, right now. In each of these books, like I feel like I've earned those books because those books are like the first one was like 40 hours, the second one was 55 hours. I think this one's like 60 hours of like, and I'm like, man, I'm stretching my free freaking credit to the limit.
I look at a book and it's like 11 hours. I'm like, really? Am I going to use a credit for this? Not even 16 hours.
Not even. But
no, I think I've not been driving as much in April anyway. So I think the Cursed City one I got at the start of April, and it was like 12 hours, I think, and I only finished it maybe the 27th or something. I had like 3 days with no book, but I didn't go in the car anywhere, so it was fine.
So it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think that what I might do is I think I might buy myself some, and I think I just saw that GW is going to be doing another Humboldt bundle kind of thing with all the books, and I'll get started on Horus Heresy again. So, but like, there's got to be a guide. I've got to find it. There's got to be like a required reading, because I know that the reason why the Horus Heresy has gone 67 books is because they're doing a lot of side stories that aren't necessarily the main story. So there's
whoa, like they're not side stories if that's your chapter.
Okay, and that's fair. That is fair. But like, I remember like the way that the books were being told. I think the last one that I read was Prospero Burns. I think is probably the last one that I read on paper.
Yeah.
And that's only like 9 or 10 books in.
Yeah.
Which means I still have 57 more to go, and I'm going to want to start from scratch. So that
it's definitely worth. I think overall there is more good than bad in those books, in that series.
No,
there's a few, and I personally ignore any of the anthologies. I just don't worry about them. I'll skip over. I've read a few of them, and there's some really good short stories, but I don't stress about those, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's not enough meat on those to be able to. Yeah, I get that. I get that. So yeah. So as far as the rest of the stuff, I ended up priming and basing a bunch of Necrons over the course of the last week. Found out that the Krylon paint takes wash way better than the other one that I got. And it's the other, I'll have to look at it. So if you're going to be painting Necrons, I highly recommend the Krylon version of Chrome, because it finishes in a matte finish and not some type of like, I don't know, satin finish where you try to do washes over it and it just literally slides right off. And you're like, what the hell is going on? So those have been good. Doomstalker. And I ended up getting, what am I thinking? I'm genuinely debating how to paint the Doomstalkers, because there are bits and pieces on there that are kind of new that weren't part of the aesthetic whenever the Necrons got re-released back in 2008, 2009, when they kind of flip-flopped and retconned a lot of the history. Because in the past, the Catan were not Catan shards; they were genuinely the actual Catan on the board.
Oh, that's what I'm physically reading the new Uriel Ventress book, which is interesting because the first Uriel Ventress book is Nightbringer, which is written in a time when the Catan were the Catan. Right. And this one has gone through the Primaris barrier or whatever it's called and come out as a Primaris Marine, and is now going up against what I'm assuming is going to be a shard of the Nightbringer.
Oh, interesting. So
I'm looking forward to how they, in the fluff, because the continuity, it's still everything that happened to him in his old books happened. You know, they've not retconned any of it.
So technically he was, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
I'm still trying to figure out, and I've obviously owned the Necron Codex. It's behind me, and I read the fluff on the Void Dragon, and I still don't understand why there's a shard of the Void Dragon. And again, old fluff, I understand that. The Emperor fought the Void Dragon and buried it in Mars, and there is theories that it is the Omnissiah, like the machine god that the the Mechanicus warship, is actually a Catan buried on Mars. So how the hell does Zarek have a shard of it if it's buried on Mars? So that leaves two possibilities. Either A, when the Emperor buried it, a shard broke off, and that's what Zarek took with him. Or B, what is buried on Mars is not the Void Dragon.
Oh, what about, because is it not how Ferrus Manus got metal arms? Is that not from the Void Dragon as well? Something, I can't remember. That's one of the theories for Ferrus, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really an Iron Hands man, and he's dead anyway, who cares? Get a wife, if no one wants to be the first Primarch to die, losers.
Right?
It's back and forth, because at least they don't have a black rage about it like the Blood Angels do,
That's true. And then the other thing that, since we're getting completely off topic and talking 40K, one of the other things that came out of that Dan Abnett interview, they talked about Alpha Aquarius, and I was like, I've always wondered. They always say that they're the twin Primarchs. So everyone says, oh, there are 18 Primarchs. Well, no. Technically, there were 21. There are the two missing ones, which he addressed and said, behind the wall curtain, not going to talk about it. And his explanation for that was much, much better. He's like, because it's sometimes if you solve all the mysteries and unlock all the keys, then it becomes less interesting.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have the reader be able to fill in some of those gaps on their own and take little pieces here and put this story in. Ooh, maybe it's tied to this. Maybe it's tied to that. And that's better for the reader than to know everything. And I agree with that. But that leaves the twin Primarchs. And I'd always had this theory that
one soul split between two bodies.
Right, but I always had this theory that it was really just one body at one point. Like it's just two different personalities of the same. Like I always thought it was like a split personality kind of thing.
I'll not spoil it for you then, because you're wrong.
I'm wrong? Oh, okay. Yeah. So he does cover that.
It's in one of the last books.
Well, maybe that.
I can't remember.
That's probably
you must have read Legion. That's before Prospero Burns.
I believe you might be right. I could turn around the book. Oh, they're behind other books. Damn it, I can't look right now from where they're at. I moved all my alien stuff in the front because it's go through recently. I'm rereading all the new Titan books in the Alien canon continuity.
Yeah. What would it be? I think it's in Praetorian of Dawn.
Oh, okay.
By John French. That's book 39.
That book I did not read. So
no. Is...
when I get to book 39, I'll have something to look forward to, how they answer that question.
Oh, no, it doesn't answer a question, but I'm not going to spoil what happens. But yeah, that's an important one if you like Alfarius.
And I don't, but I mean, he's not my particular brand of Primarch myself, but I do want to know. It's one of those things. That's why, like, if anyone getting involved in the 40K lore, good Lord, you need like a master's class in how to like break down some of the lore. And this is just the stuff that's in the 30th millennium, or it's not current.
You don't need to know everything.
No, you don't. I guess you can.
There's so much stuff that I'm out of date on, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. Right? You enjoy what the parts of it you enjoy, and just don't worry about it.
Like, is Garvin Loken a Grey Knight? I say yes.
I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Oh wait, he gives that away too? All right, I'll leave it go.
You can't stop reading it like book 12 when they're on book 50 and then be like, oh man, how do you know so many answers, Kris? Oh no.
Oh, because you're like 35 books in front of me. That'd be why. All right. Well, I guess you've sort of convinced me. I guess I'm going to start ramping up the old Audible book collection after I get through the Brandon Sanderson series. Yeah, we didn't play D&D. We already covered that. And we're in an interesting game of Neptune's Pride. I got to be in a really interesting position because I guess at some point in time as we were all signing up, Greg somehow thought that I was another player based on something that was said in D&D that I don't recall saying. But he messaged me. He's like, I already know who you are. And I'm like, oh, damn. Because I thought about, like, did I use the name that I'm using before? Is that something I've said? Did I say that before?
Because when he posted that, I was like, I don't know who it is. And I just like, I don't know. Maybe I was doing something else when you guys were talking about whatever the name was. Because I didn't remember. It didn't stand out to me as something that you'd said. So
me neither.
Whatever.
So I was in an interesting position where I'm like, okay, Greg thinks I'm someone else. I know he's going to share that with Kris. How do I use this to my advantage? And I let it run for well over a week of not really revealing who I was. And just when I would respond to things, like, especially there was a point in time where the player that Greg thought I was and another player were actually taking a very heavy lead. I started playing the bad guy. Like, every time Kris would message me, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, we're going to win. We're gonna, like, the whole time, I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So at one point in time, it blew up on Discord, like, all right, so who's Ed? If Ed's not this, then who is he? I'm like, all right, fine. I've had my fun with it.
Because when I went through my breakdown of how I thought the game was going to go, I tried to use the in-character names because I didn't want to bring it out of the game, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I might have put you down as the wrong person once because of going through. And I've ran with what Greg said, but I don't know. I don't think it made any difference because, because you didn't know that I was your neighbor until I messaged you.
No, I totally know.
Which was pretty far in.
I had a pretty good idea from the beginning when we first met that it was you, just based on the way that your communication works. Just by the way that you started talking, I think that's Kris. And as we had more and more communication, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that that's Kris.
Yeah.
So I didn't need your confirmation. What I didn't know was who everybody else was. I had a pretty good idea that the person Greg thought I was really Alan, because Alan was the one that had said that name.
Well, that's if he remembers it from D&D, and it's not me and it's not you.
Well, yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But anyway, so we had a bunch of so this was an interesting game, and I feel like it's a shame the way that it happened that it did. But so we had a bunch of new players that were playing the game, which was fine. I had no problem with that at all. We also had a couple of more players UK based than US based. So you had players, because of the way that the cycles worked in this one, I was awake for both cycles because one would be at like 10 o'clock in the morning, would be at like 10 o'clock at night for my time.
Yeah, because I doubled the speed of the game as well, which I don't like.
Yeah.
I find that it takes up more of my... And I've got all of the time in the world, and I'm saying this.
Yes, I agree.
Having to check it at like 25 past the hour and 55 minutes past the hour and then 5 past the hour, and because you want to check just before the tick and just after, and then you stay on until after the tick. So you're like, it's 20 minutes an hour instead of 10 minutes an hour if you want to be on top of the game.
Right.
And I can do 10 minutes an hour for like 10 hours of the day because I'm at home with Evie and it's to check on my phone.
Right.
But like 20 minutes an hour, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do it.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. Like, this game went really quick. So anyway, so long story short, the other thing we had happen was we had a player who must have been new, didn't notice that the game had started, was AFK, and basically got raffle stomped in the very, very early parts of the game, which put one player in a very high position very early in the game. And they're just, if Kris hadn't rallied the troops.
Not even that. I tried rallying the troops. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm coming. I'm on my way. And then, like, 2 days later, still nothing's happened. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
So
I'm standing there, like, oh, yeah, just punch me. It's okay.
Don't worry, get there.
Not even, I felt like it was just so frustrating because, so I'm gonna out everyone now. It's fine.
It's fine. Go for it.
So I'd gone through and I was chatting with Greg because part of the problem is that obviously me and Greg work together and we're in work. One of us is inevitably going to check when the other one's there and they're going to see who you are.
Yes.
So you can't keep secret from each other who the other player is. It's impossible.
Not for long.
So inevitably, once you figure out who you are, it's like, oh, just give me this tech, man. And I'm like, fine, whatever. So you end up, more than likely, will end up on friendly terms at some point. Like, we didn't start near each other in this game. So it was only like, I got, pardon me, I got to like the midfield, like the centre of the board, and Greg was there, and I was like, I think Patrick's like, he's gone from like 20 industry to 40, 20 economy to 40 economy. It's going to be a problem. We should probably attack him now because I'm just arriving. I've got ships coming up on the way. And Greg's like, well, if I attack, I'm leaving both my borders empty. Like, I'd have to strip my borders to attack. So I know, I would too. But if we don't, he's going to win the game. And Greg was like, no, what we should do is attack Orange. But Orange has been really good. Orange is trapped and hasn't made a fuss about it. He's happy just putting all his research into experimentation and trading tech with us. And I'm giving him systems to try and get him out slowly. And he seems happy enough. But my relationship's been really good with him. I don't know what you've been doing. I was like, no, as in what Greg had been doing.
I gotcha.
And Greg was like, no, we should attack him while he's weak, because then we'll clear up, we'll get this much science and industry each, and then we'll be able to take him. I'm like, we won't, but I'm not going to argue with you. So I ended up stopping stuff going north to start building up, and I sent Orange a message saying, due to political pressures, I'm going to have to break off our research treaty that we have, and I'm going to be able to trade tech with you anymore. They sent me a message about, I understand, don't rate it, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I started getting attacked by Patrick and Alan, and I'm like, oh, would you look at that? Patrick's now got like a 50 lead on economy, is massively ahead on weapons now, and no one's in position to help. Orange can't get there now because I had to stop giving him worlds because she wanted to attack him. You're still fighting yellow. And I'm like,
yeah.
The game's done. I moved up. Greg said he's sending 2,000 ships. So I'm like, okay, well, we should be okay then. 24 hours later, it's still just me on my own. I'm like, I know how long, I had one really thin, narrow empire, and I could move from one end of it to the other in 24 hours. So there's I could theoretically move 2/3 of my ships from one part of my empire to the other in 24 hours. And still, there's like 500 ships there from Greg. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yep. So what ended up happening, so from my perspective, so Kris is on my left in his narrow empire fighting off in the center of the galaxy. I was one of the players that got like boxed in. The player to my right was one of the UK players, one of the new players, so I felt really bad baby seal clubbing him. But it reached a point where, like, I still don't know where the galactic center is. Kris had a pretty good idea that we were in the southern part of the galaxy fairly early in the game, but I had no evidence to support that argument, so I don't know. So I'm looking around, and I can't find a way out. So at some point in time, I had to be like, okay, I got no other choice. Kris needs help. If I don't do something in the next 24 hours, this game is over. I see the same thing that Kris sees. So I have no other choice, but I have to attack yellow. And as I'm attacking yellow, I get all the way through a lot of his major systems, and I still don't see the center. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, the only other players that I see are Kris. And I'm like, what is going on? I was so tucked into the corner that I didn't start seeing the galactic center until like a few days ago.
Yeah.
Like, I just started seeing Greg today because I finally took a world that I can, and I've got like gigantic scanning, and I finally took a world today.
Welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was that, by the way. So just as I'm finally in the center, and I'm finally committing to my promise to Kris that I'm going to commit forces so that Kris isn't the only one banging his head against the wall against these two titans in the galaxy, as I've sent my last force north to go and die as soldiers to kind of like break up the ship count so that they're so low in ships that they can't actually oppose anyone. I'm getting ready to go into a 2:00 meeting as my whole meeting schedule. Like,
you jumped ahead.
Oh.
Yeah, so we should talk about how slimy I was.
Yeah. Might as well.
Well, not that. Like, it's in, because if I don't do what I did, you never make it to a center.
Agreed.
Because light blue square is still a buffer between you two, and he doesn't get forced into picking a side. So,
agreed.
Like, you'd still be fighting him as Patrick and Alan are like huge and unstoppable juggernauts. But basically, it got to a point where they were producing 20 extra ships an hour, 20 more ships an hour than any other player, had the advantage on weapons and were producing more research, and had the economic lead. So the only way this changes is that if I pick the player who's the closest on research, give them all of my money to put into research, and then pick the player who's closest on like having a solid base, which happened to be Ed, because he'd been fighting and winning, so I'd already taken all of yellow. Yes. And start giving him my systems, because then you get enough industry that you start matching their production.
Yes.
So basically, I ended up committing Harry Carry, and like I suicided all of my ships into the back worlds. I just jumped over the front lines so that they couldn't advance because they had to send some ships back to cover, and then wonder where the rest of the attack was going to come, because to do that on its own makes no sense, because they still have to guard the front lines. So it meant that they couldn't attack for like 12, 24 hours or whatever.
Which bought me plenty of time.
Yeah, so Ed got all of the time to build more ships with my world's industry, and Greg got time to get ahead on weapons, because he's now ahead on weapons and researching faster, so should stay ahead on weapons.
Who did you say?
Greg.
You mean the guy that just quit?
Did he? I don't know.
Yep, I just looked just because we were talking, because I want to get it.
Oh yeah, well, we're going to start a new game today, basically. I'm going to make a new one.
He's in the lead. Like, I don't know, how does
the reason he's in the lead is because I was a slimy so-and-so and like gave him a hunt. Like I'd made a deal with Red that if I sent him banking, he'd pay me 2 payments for each level of banking I sent him. And as good as his word, he sent me that money, even when he only had the 2 stars left with no industry on them.
Aww.
He just kept sending me the money that he owed me.
Aww.
So, thanks, Matt. But even that money, I was taking all of my economy and just giving it all to Greg. So, like, there was no skill or, like, you know what I mean? It's a hollow victory. Patrick won the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because basically, if you hadn't done what you did, which is basically here, take all of my worlds, take all of this, and like manipulated the board so that the lesser empires in the galaxy actually had a chance to play catch up, the game was over.
But I didn't give them a choice either. Like, the only person who had agency in what they did was yellow and light blue, because light blue could have picked the other side. But I told him I'd give him a technology that Patrick hadn't been giving him. So he sided with us. And that if he hadn't, ironically, it would probably be a better game, because it would have been closer. Because I think it would have been 3v3 then, or 3.5v3 and 1 neutral, compared to its like 4.5v2. So
yeah.
So to try and rebalance that,
so after he upsets the apple cart.
Yeah. So you can tell it from your side now.
So after he upsets the apple cart, I have, and I'm looking at the board right now, I have 4,500 ships, all pushing north, getting ready to run ramshackle through the 2 lead players. We still haven't surmounted the science industry, where they still are a little bit ahead of us on weapons, but their ship count is so low that it's basically at a tipping point that if they lose enough worlds in my initial rush, it's over. Because by that point in time, I'm going to pick off all of their other worlds, and by the time all of that cleanup's done, it's just Greg and I at that juncture. And I'm getting ready to go into a 1:00 meeting. I've come back from lunch. I've sat down at my desk. I'm like, I'm just going to take a real quick look, just to see where things are going. And I happen to notice 1,000+ ships heading. So again, this is camera, you can see it. So I have a world down here in the south, and I have this little sliver of territory that I can get up to the north. I've carved my way through. I've got one path, and there is one world and one world only that is the key world that allows me to gain access to the north. And as I'm getting ready to go into my 1:00 meeting, I look and I see 1,000+ ships from Kris launching into that world. And I've only got a couple of, I don't know, maybe 100 or so ships sitting there, which means it's dead. And I'm like, Kris, what's going on?
I had posted the Scar GIF in Discord before I even launched. I let everyone know what was coming.
Yes, but again, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. So first, and he does feel bad about this, and he should, because it's wrong. When he and I agreed to go into an agreement, the agreement was that we wouldn't turn on each other unless we gave each other 48 hours notice.
I null and void that after I screwed the game up. Yeah. If this was still a real game, I would feel bad about that. I have zero guilt about screwing you over.
And
if you want, I would strip all of my worlds and you can take them, because all I needed to do, or the only goal, was to slow you down from attacking them for a 12-hour period.
Well, no, it's going to be more like 24 because it's going to be
more.
I'm
like as well because I'm a dick.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. So in the game you can build these warp gates at like half travel time, so you can get ships up there really, really quick. You can move ships really, really fast. So not only does he take the world that was mine, but then as I'm on my way there, there's still a gate there, so I can get there quicker and try to catch up to him. He blows the gate. And then he does it to thanks. I mean, that was salt in the wound. Like, not only did you betray me, but they're like, yeah, I'm going to blow the gate up too while I'm at it.
Think about how bad Patrick feels, though.
Yeah. Well, so now things get a little bit more interesting because
Alan sent me a message about something. And it's like, calling me a dick. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I 100% am. But I sent him one back today. It's like, look, if I'm going to be a dick, I have to be a dick to everyone equally, or else it's just mean.
Yeah, yep, agreed. So now I have got broken forces. I've got forces to the north that I technically can reach them. No, I can't. I need to take
you need to take that world back, or one of light blues, or do something. But yeah, I've split you in two.
Yeah, so Kris has literally split me in two. So now that being said, I've got a nice little base. I think we just lost Craig.
No, Chad came in.
Oh,
I just need to change the scene. This will be interesting. I don't know if it'll do this and let me
Did I mess things
keep
up?
recording. Only the images, mate. Don't worry about it. We could keep talking.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and fix it. Anyway, so what he's done is he picked off a key world, so he's now split my forces in half. The only way that I can reunite with my northern fleets is to take that world back, and then, oh, by the way, Kris is still there, and he's literally on my western border. I now need to deal with Kris.
So I'm told I'm not going to attack you anymore, and that's genuine. I mean, you don't have to believe me, obviously. But
I don't. If it makes you feel any better. So in order to reunite with my fleets now, I either have to establish a new base in the north and just hope that things work out. You know, the area where the number 1 and number 2 players were sitting, and now I have to fight them off. Now, the interesting part with Greg quitting, so I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out now, because when Greg quits, the computer takes over. Greg is currently in the lead in a lot of things, including science.
It means everyone can buy, as long as you get to a positive reputation with him, everyone can buy science. Sorry, everyone can buy weapons.
How do you build a positive...
You just keep sending them money or tech.
Keep sending him tech. Okay. Well, because that's going to become a problem, because I'm really curious to see what position he's currently in with the other players. He's in neutral with me.
Yeah, so if you send him one level of payment, because it tells you how much you need to spend to increase your reputation with him. If you send one of those, he should send you technology back. As long as he has the money, I should say. If a computer doesn't have the money, obviously it won't remember the debt. But
interesting. So that does make the game a little bit more interesting, because what it's done is, like, ultimately, like, the computer players aren't super smart and they don't have a lot of good tactics.
It's terrible. Computer is terrible.
What that means is that Alan can rickroll over Greg now, or what used to be Greg, and now play catch up. So the game has now swung in a different direction. Now, the only thing I've got going for me is I've got 4,500 ships sitting on their borders. And between the two of them, they've got enough ships to probably take me out, but it's going to take them a while.
I'm very disappointed.
Like I said, I think the chances are that we just start a new game. Once we've finished recording, I'll set up a new one. And we're going to try and do it with a non-blind galaxy, so you can see the full star layout. And you can see as the stars get populated, but you can't see the fleets and you can't see the
numbers. The
resource value or what they've got on the world.
It's been a really long time since we played that way. That was like the first game that I played with you was like that. So it would not surprise me if that is... You could be very well correct that is how that works.
Yeah.
I've been following on Discord, and I'm very displeased that Ed's not out of the game yet.
Ed was really nice. I was very close. I was chatting because I was in work the evening that I found orange and blue, which blue's Ed. And I think orange is Mike, but it could be Peter. I don't think it's Adam. So I think Adam's US time zone anyway. I think it's Mike is orange, I believe. I'm not 100%. But I was like, I launched a fleet and then orange took the planet. So you can see them arrive as my ship's still trying to get there. I'm like, well, that's dead. So I sent orange a message saying, look, if you leave so that my fleet can land there, I will then leave and give it you back, just so I don't have to buy a new carrier. But then the world that was on Ed's side was like a 48 resource world or something. It was a really good planet. I was like, there's no fucking way he's going to give me that anyway. So I just sent a message saying, I've got a fleet on the way there. And Ed just left and gave it to me. I was like, cool, we're friends.
Yep.
Well,
again, I knew we were playing with new players. I didn't know it was you at the time. So
so the point of the story was I said, if Orange killed my ship, I wasn't really bothered because it was a nothing world. The gap was big enough. It didn't really affect me. I was like, I want that planet. So I'd already started shifting 20 ships. I had a fleet of 20 and then another fleet of 10 converging to go and hit that world if you didn't let me have it. So I would have burnt my empire to the ground fighting you over that one planet.
Would have been interesting.
And then you gave it me anyway. So it's like, cool, we're friends now.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Everything will work out.
Yeah.
So long story short, I've got an interesting fight in my hands. I am really curious to see where everyone goes from here and if people stick in the game or not.
We'll see. I don't know. I think that Patrick's probably done. Alan might want to stick it out just to torture me a little bit more for ruining his game because he was fairly sure he could do well and then I ruined it.
You did. You probably took his win away from him.
I'm convinced that Patrick would have won, not Alan. So, well, it is what it is. And so the funny story for Alan, which he doesn't find funny, but I do. I moved in to protect Red because Red was getting curb stomped by Alan, and Alan had said basically, "You're scanning my holy system, and you need to leave." So he gave up. Matt gave up a world, and then Alan was like, "No, you're still spying on me," because there was like another system somewhere else. And Matt,
that's what this was about.
Yeah. So Matt was like, "Well, I've given him one world. I'm not giving him another. I sacrificed it with no fight. I just pulled out and left it. I'm not doing that again." So he just moved more ships in there to reinforce it, but then he had nothing behind it. So once he lost that world, Alan was like, "Oh, well, it's just fucking empty space. I'm just going to push it through. It's easy." So I moved in, and when I arrived, he sent me a message saying he's got a fleet moving towards this planet. It was a 48 resource planet. The highest resource you can get in the game is 50. And he was like, "I've got a fleet moving towards that one." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I landed so I could get full vision. And he didn't. He had a fleet moving towards the next planet and then was going to move from that planet to it, but there was nothing en route. So I sent him a message back saying, "Look, if we're claiming planets with just the intent to take them at some point, I'm going to claim these other three, which were still held by Red. But I wanted it cut Alan off from encircling where I wanted to go. So I said, if you respect that and don't launch on those, I won't stop you from taking this world." Those were words I used. I won't stop you from taking it.
I won't stop you.
Yep. So he said, okay. So then he took the world, killed all of Red stuff. 30 minutes later, I took it from him.
Seems fair to me.
The wording of the contract was I wouldn't stop him taking it. Once he's taken it, the contract's finished.
I agree.
Right.
No.
Get better at reading contracts, man. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm sure Alan's going to give me some crap on Monday.
I guarantee it.
But no, that was fun because he was annoyed. It's like, "What are you doing, man? Why should I on a side of a contract and not take those 3 worlds?" It's like, "I don't care. I just didn't want you to take them off Red." Like, if you want to attack him, you can, but I'm going to fight you now. This was my plan is over. This was my plan all along. So that was when Alan joined with Patrick and jumped from weapons 8 to weapons 10 or whatever. And then they started curb stomping me. And I valiantly, Captain America, I can do this all day. Turns out, folks, I couldn't. I couldn't do it all day. I gave up. And then I used some. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with doing what I did. Had I done it purely in game to one person, I think combining it with the conversation we had on Discord about how the delay of people not doing anything has effectively ended. So I think I posted in chat. On the Thursday, I typed in Discord that I think I know who Patrick is, and I think he's poised to do really well. But I didn't out what colour he was. Then I sent him a message on the Saturday saying, I think you've won this now. I don't think people are going to move quick enough to stop you. Then it got to Monday and nothing had changed. I was like, okay, the game's fucking done. So then on Tuesday, I ruined it all.
You did.
Yeah.
You totally did.
I don't care. The game was already ruined because Pink was too far behind to be able to play.
Yeah, and so we had talked about that. So moving forward in this one, we're thinking about doing a smaller game with only 10 players, correct?
Yeah, I think so. The last game where you missed out, no one quit. And that game was equally as one-sided, apart from the fact that I was trying to sabotage myself this time, so it was a lot easier to do. Like me trying to sabotage other people is harder because they have agency. If I'm trying to sabotage myself, it's fairly easy. You just play suboptimally and it's fine. But yeah, the RNG from the last game was a troll. I got in the first 10 systems, 6 of them were in the top 10% of it, what was in the game.
Oh, jeez.
It was just ridiculous. I didn't stop on anything that was less than a 10. I didn't even send a ship to because it wasn't worth the travel time. So yeah, it was crazy. And Greg was stuck with 6 worlds for 4 days. Then on this game, I've had the opposite. I've researched up to scanning 8 and haven't found a single unoccupied world.
Yeah, which means that they're basically full. It's a weird shaped galaxy. It really is.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I didn't like doing the ringed galaxies because I think it too inherently territorial because it's so obvious which planets are assigned to you by the game that if someone takes them before you, you feel like we've taken something from you rather than them claiming an unclaimed star.
Correct. I agree with that.
Yeah. So people get the backup far too quickly. And then that game is won by experimentation drops rather than the shape of a galaxy. But I think the more I play the game, the more I think that the game isn't actually about winning at the end. It's the fun you have whilst you're playing and the dealing stuff. Because the game so often feels like it's decided by Patrick hit weapons 3 times on experimentation in this game, back to back. 3 consecutive hits on weapons and was spawned next to a player who was AFK.
That's ridiculous.
That's a massive advantage. In the last game, I hit weapons 3 times in a row and spawned into the glut of massive resource planets. The game before that one, which was the symmetrical ring one, was it Adam or Mike who was the orange player and was the only choice they had was to attack me. They literally couldn't play the game if they didn't get past me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, the RNG is a large deciding factor because I think it's the only randomness. There's no randomness to a combat. There's no randomness to how you generate ships, how you generate money, how you generate... It's all the RNG for map layout. So, outside of that, I don't know.
So Kris stabbed me in the back.
Not really. I stabbed you in the front.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And if it actually mattered, I wouldn't have done it.
No, I know. It genuinely is not going to be that big of a deal.
I'd already messaged Orange and asked him if he wanted to fight before I attacked. So I was already set to fight Orange. So I'm currently fighting Orange and you, and I'm not actually actively attacking you anymore.
No, and it doesn't look like you've got much left
No, no.
ship-wise.
I've also got, what was it, 1,000 ships heading into Allen.
Yeah.
Because I was going to try and find the other yellow player, but then I told Alan that was my plan, but he's moving to defend his system anyway. So he's going to lose a bunch of ships but kill all of mine. So good guy,
That should
Alan.
be interesting.
Yeah. So you'll have me wiped out in a day or so. It's fine.
I hope so.
Wow. That's not cool, Ed.
Well, I don't know. He's right in the fact that the game was genuinely over days ago. If he hadn't thrown a monkey wrench into things, rallied the troops, and basically fell on his sword to prevent that from happening, which normal player wouldn't do. Like, normal players would try to fight it out. But the way that it happened, it definitely swung the tide in the other direction. So it almost feels like an artificial win, if that makes sense.
If you look at the factors of the things that I changed by doing what I did,
Yeah.
I effectively gave Greg an additional 140 economy. I gave Greg gains 140 economy points. I paid to upgrade all of your tech. I removed 1,000 ships from Patrick. I made it so that they couldn't actually launch, like they had no agency to launch attacks. I bought off Blue onto our side instead of theirs. So all of the things that I did it means that I lose. I'm the last place player of everyone left in the game. I have no chance to make a comeback. I get no getting to take one system from Ed for a 12-hour period is the highlight of what I could accomplish. There's literally no more that I could do. And I don't mean it as in, yes, I enjoyed it. I mean, that's literally the most I could accomplish. So, yeah.
It's true. It's true.
I had a big effect on the game to my detriment, but it means that it also screws over the players who were going to win. So I don't feel bad for you. I feel bad for them.
I feel bad for them.
Because they chose to play a game in good faith with me, and it's a lesson to everyone. You can apply it to actually no one plays a game in good faith. Everyone will use that wiggle room in the templates if it means them staying on the table.
Yep. Yeah, I've been following the Discord channel for Neptune's Pride, and I keep waiting for people to figure out who Ed is and then destroy him. And I'm waiting and waiting. And at first it was there was everybody was dead silent for the first, I don't know how long. And then
it was weird. Yeah, it was really quiet this time compared. And I think they were waiting for me to do something again. I was like, well, I can't start off the Galactic talk again.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gives away who I was. So I think I tried. So I went to American spellings for everything this time. And
which was a good move, by the way.
I hate it. I have to be conscious of doing it. And then I'm trying to do it on my phone as well, so I've got fat fingers anyway. And I tried to pick a innocuous name that wasn't tied to anything that would tie it to me. And but yeah, ultimately Greg figured out who I was on the second guess anyway, because I generally have the same start. And I've told Ed now, if you ever want to figure out who I am, after the third day, just click on the intel screen and check who has the most carriers, because that's probably me.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of the rest of you build enough carriers.
So Greg said he thought he knew who Ed was. Was he right?
Yeah.
No.
He was not right.
He was not.
And that actually played to my benefit, because I actually had to play this little game of nobody knows who I am, really. So I tried to do my best. How do I put that to my advantage? How do I use that advantage of no one knows who I am? I don't think ultimately it would have made a difference if Kris knew if I was his neighbor or not. It might have. He talked a big game of I'm just gonna everyone's gonna kill Ed, so Ed can't win this game kind of thing. So that's what I was worried about most. So I let everyone think.
The difference. So for me, the Discord talk is separate to the actual game. The stuff that I say in Discord is one thing, whereas I will play the game in good faith in the game. And that's why I feel bad about the way it's gone, because I didn't play the game in good faith. I removed the agency from everyone else in the game, decided it was over, and did this thing. So that was probably the wrong thing to do in hindsight, given the way it's turned out. Because I don't think my hope was that there'd be a grand battle that was really well balanced and people would be like getting used to the back and forth of a balanced fight. But that didn't happen. I overcompensated and it just turned into a curb stomp the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's exactly what happened.
You can ask Chad, because I keep coughing, so I need to go and get another drink. So you can talk to Chad for a minute, and then I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, since Chad's joining us late. Chad,
sorry.
What have you been... That's okay. What have you been doing lately in gaming, my friend?
Gaming? Not much. I've been following the Neptune's Pride Discord channel. Just because, like I said, like I've been sitting there and I'm just like, come on, I want to see when Ed gets knocked out so that he can start like, oh, I got knocked out of the game. And I'll be like, ha, you're not playing again, because you missed last game. But apparently that hasn't happened as people thought you were one person, but apparently you're somebody else. And
correct.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So what's probably going to happen because of the way that Kris moved the pieces on the board and fell on his sword for other players is I might end up winning this game if we play it out. So yeah. Greg quit. Greg is currently in the lead.
Greg is in the lead and he quit.
Yeah, because I think from his perspective, I totally understand. It's the same thing. That's kind of the same point that Kris is making is that the game was really over 4 or 5 days ago. It was over. The only reason that the game flipped on its head was because of the actions that Kris took to try to get everyone back into the game.
Mm-hmm. And
it was a way too much of an overcompensation to the point that it put enough players in a position that they could overcome. It was like one of those really weird, like the other two players were far enough ahead in weapons and economy and science that nobody was going to catch them.
Yeah.
So the only way that it worked out is that Kris basically was just sending all of his economy to another player, which basically doubled the economy of me, which allowed me to play catch up. And he was sending all of his science in another direction, which put Greg in a position that he could overcome. So all of these impossible situations that wouldn't happen in a normal game happened. And then it swung it in a way overcompensation to the other direction to the point that unless something drastic happens, I think I can easily win this game at this juncture.
Yeah. So, like, who did Greg think you were?
Greg thought that I was Aaron.
Like, I remember he made a comment of like, "Oh, you used something while we were playing D&D," and I'm like, trying to think, I'm like, what would he have said?
And that was Alan, not me. I remember Alan saying that because I remember seeing that character name going, "Oh, Alan just said that, so I know who Alan is." And then Greg hit me up. I think I don't know if it was a private message or it was public in the Neptune's Pride.
It was public. It was in the Neptune's Pride one.
And that was my whole grand scheme was like, okay, how can I use this to my advantage?
Okay, yeah, because I've been seeing the Aaron memes popping up in there, and okay,
yep. Like, so that's what it was.
I'm sitting back and I'm watching this, and it's like, oh, they think they know who Ed is and all this and that. And it's like, I wanted to ask for like, I didn't know if it would give away anything or not, but like a screenshot of like a list of the names. Because I was going to sit there and like, okay, so let me see, which one would I think Ed would be? And
screenshot would have worked.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't identify who I am on the screenshot.
Okay. So if this game is virtually over and the show won't be, put out for a few more days and all that, what name did you choose? Or do you still not want to say that yet?
Oh, no, I've already given it up. I've given it up. I think it's public at this juncture. I went with Beltex Empire. And that's where I was like, I don't ever recall using those words ever in D&D. I literally, when I was making the character, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to go. I'm going to do blah.
I had to try like 3 different things before it would let me have a name. So it was like, oh, this name is in use as another player's real name. This player is it. So I had to keep like going for other stuff.
I mean, like, you're coming up with random stuff, aren't you?
I think I was doing characters from history. So I think I tried. I was going to be like Ramses the Second, I think. Something like that. Yeah, just some like Ozymandias, same person.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
On a Watchmen angle.
I just like this, the poem? I am Ozymandias, look upon my accomplishments and tremble.
Yep.
I felt it was apt after the last game, and I just ruled the world. Well, hey-ho.
Well, we'll see how this goes. Like, they're so... Like, I'm just looking at the Galaxy now. So with Greg quitting, Greg is in the lead. He has the highest amount of science. He's got a really strong economy, and he's got a pretty strong industry where he's producing 80 ships an hour. So
What
now
name
the
did he go
computer.
with?
What's that?
What name did Greg go with?
Master of Puppets, which is why I thought you were in the game for a few moments.
Hey.
I thought that was Chris's name. Legitimately, when I saw the name list, I thought that was Kris.
I could see that being Chris. Early, I would have guessed that to be you, Ed, because I know that is one of your favorite albums and favorite songs.
It is one of my favorite songs, but what I said in the Neptune's Pride Discord was that because I assumed it was Kris just because of the pure hubris of it, that it had to be Kris.
I only do that kind of stuff behind the scenes. I'll never put myself out in front and like claim it beforehand. I thought you'd all think I was orange with the all-seeing eye. That's what I thought you'd think I was.
That was one of the other ones I thought was you too.
Yeah, that sounds like, yeah.
That was one of the other ones I thought you were too.
Sound like something Kris would possibly use, yeah.
It's good.
All right, so we've chatted about, now we're at the Lack of Focus Neptune's Pride podcast.
Yeah.
We chatted along on far enough. I do genuinely think, though, I honestly think, Kris, if you really wanted to, like, there's not a lot out there on YouTube on Neptune's Pride and tactics and strategy. Like, if you really wanted to, you really could probably put together, like, a YouTube series.
So the problem with it is I've considered it this week when I was, like, a couple of the basics, like, getting dragged into trying to help Matt because he, again, didn't put a single ship on any of his systems. So he had like 500 ships on his front line, then 0, 0, 0, and then his home systems. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because the fight here will be really, really close. But like, what's the so the way I think of it, and there's probably a really simple thing that I'm just missing, but I think that like minion waves in a MOBA, where the closer you get to the enemy tower, the wave will naturally push back because they'll get more minions to it quicker because it's shorter distance. So if you've got I mean, I can explain it in Neptune's Pride terms a lot easier than this, but I don't know why we're being a moron. If you produce 10 ships an hour, but it takes you 2 hours to get there, and the other person produces 10 ships an hour, but it takes them 10 hours to get there, you get 5 times more ships than them.
Yes.
So by having 0, 0, 0 everything, they get to have 0 everything, they win. So it'll be a really, really close fight until it isn't, and then you lose.
That's also the argument you were making as far as defense, how leaving one ship behind is better than abandoning a star.
Yeah.
Because your one ship on defense is going to do the most damage.
So, yeah, the only thing, so your one ship, so what happens in combat, the way you have to visualize it, if you've got 10 ships and weapons 2, you don't get 10 ships that fire out a volley. You have one, they line up, the first ship goes, pew, and it's one shot, shoots through 2 ships because they're lined up. Then their shot goes, pew, and shoots through 2 of yours. And then the next one steps up, and the next one steps up until there's none left. So if you've got 1, but you've got weapons 7, you get +1 for being a defender. So your one ship goes pew and kills 8. If they've got weapons 20, they still only kill 1 because you've only got 1.
Right.
So you trade up infinitely. So if you've got 10 ships, you can kill 100 ships as long as you spread that fight out over 10 worlds.
And make it much more of a fight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I don't know that. And this is one of the reasons why I knew that the yellow next to me was a new player, was because I had like 60 ships on his world and he sent 110 to me. But I was up on him by weapons by 3 and I was defending. So I didn't move. I just waited till he got there and just let that tide crash against those rocks.
Yeah.
And wiped out all of his ships. Because I don't think he recognized that that's what happens and how the combat works. So even though he had a higher number of ships, he didn't have enough oomph to beat my defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up now because we're talking about it. But I did pin the formula, and I googled it and couldn't find it written down. And I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion, but I wanted to write it down in a Bob-esque fashion. So. Oh, where is it? Did I actually write it down that way? So it's your weapons number divided by the number of enemy ships +1 times the defender's weapon value +1 minus the defender's weapon value. No, I can't remember. Anyway, so basically, your weapons times the number of enemy ships, because that's how many you're going to kill each time. So if you've got weapons 10, they've got 100 ships, it's going to take you 10 rounds to kill them all. So you need to be able to fire 10 times. So you need to have enough ships to get to fire 10 times and have one left over.
Correct.
So, yeah. It's horrible and wordy, and I can't think of an easy way to describe it. But there's a handy weapons calculator in the game.
There is.
So use that instead of my horrible formula. But yeah. I don't know. Anyway, should we do some X-Wing stuff? I don't know. Did you finish doing Chad's stuff?
We did, yeah. Unless you have anything more you want to add there, Chad.
No, I really haven't gotten to do anything over the last, what's it been, like a week or two?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I've just been working.
I watched a Bad Batch today.
Oh yeah, no, I've not gotten the opportunity, not yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, no, that's what we went to the Lego store on the weekend in Chinook Mall and queued up for felt like 45 minutes with a 3-year-old to get in because they were giving away the Star Wars Day stuff.
Nice.
So Evie got to buy her first Lego set, so I was really a proud dad.
Aww.
So I used to get Lego when I was little. My dad said they've still got it all in the loft, so next time I go back to the UK, I'll bring it all back. But we got a Lego Rapunzel tower, so we built the Rapunzel tower for her, and she plays with that little Pascal chameleon, and it's good fun. And I got some Star Wars Lego.
Yay! Always
Did
good.
you use
Always
the pun? The Lego pun? Did you use it? People were lined up for blocks.
No. No. I was a little bit concerned because I had no idea what we wanted because she's never been in there. She likes playing with the Lego I've got up there, but I wasn't sure when she sees the stuff what she'd want to get. So do you want to reserve anything so you don't miss out? I was like, I do, but I don't know what.
I don't know what I want.
I don't want to miss out on anything, so can I reserve it all and then just look at it when I get in there? Because people just kept turning up, looking at the Star Wars set display in the window, and then a guy would come out, take the credit card off, and go in and then swap it for a bag of crap. I'm like, oh no, people keep buying all the Star Wars stuff before I've even got in. And they were letting 5 people in the store at a time, and obviously it's parent-child. So it's only really 3 shoppers at a time, and and she's 3. I'm like, she's going to need a piss or something soon. I'm going to lose my place in the line.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. But hey ho, it was fine. Yeah, it was good fun. Okay, now that's it. I'm done.
Now you're done.
Got it.
So, do
Excellent
you want
stuff.
to intro this section? Because I'm going to have to rebuild the scene while you're talking.
Sure. So while Kris is doing that producer thing, we're going to move on to step 2, which is actual placement. Not only placement of obstacles, some strategies behind building those obstacles, but how to fly some ships through those obstacles based on those. We're going to go over some of the basic construction of how obstacles end up on the board. We'll talk about fences. We'll talk about corners. But we'll also talk about the reasons why we're putting things where we're putting them. We're going to talk about flight lanes, all that kind of fun stuff. So what you're really kind of looking forward to. So I think it's getting a little late because we talked a lot about Neptune's Pride. It's getting late, so we're probably going to do this. We might have to cut. Yeah, we'll have to cut next week. The next time we do this, we'll have to cut it a little bit short and not talk Neptune's Pride as much so that we have more time to talk X-Wing. So we're probably going to do probably one setup with, I'm going to probably try to fly the TIE Swarm and give an idea of why theories behind that. And we can discuss different strategies of placing those obstacles. Kris can take whatever he would like in return for that. And then we'll literally put some ships on the board, show it on YouTube so you can have an idea of some theory on what running a 6 or 7 ship build would be like versus whatever Kris decides to bring as a counter. Did I fill enough time for you, Kris?
Yeah. I was being a moron, don't mind me. And paste another one.
It's all my fault. I showed up late. Yeah, they changed my schedule because Walmart wants to do a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd shift now instead of like where it was like I would go in a little bit before noon and then be done in time to actually make like the show on any day it was recording. Now I'm like 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
Okay, we're done. We're good. I just need to shrink the chat a little bit. It's fine. It doesn't matter. We're good. Okay, so the first one you wanted to do was your TIE swarm.
Correct.
I've got a swarm as well.
Ooh, so this is swarm on swarm action. This should be interesting.
But my swarm likes obstacles because I took the Mining Guild TIE with the Mag's closure.
Very good counter.
So
mine does not. Mine would prefer all the tiny rocks.
Yeah. So I'm at 200, I believe. So
I believe I am at 200.
Okay, so we'll roll a dice because that's what you do in the game.
Hang on, let me double check. I am at 200, yes.
Would you like hits or misses?
I'll take hits.
It's a miss. So I have an Initiative 2 swarm with one Initiative 1 ship for the blocks. As in, you've got Initiative 1s and 4s, I believe. And
I've got a 5, 4, 3, 2s, and 1s.
Yeah, okay.
Are you guys on Vassal?
We are, yes.
I locked the room, so I'll have to unlock it.
Yeah, you might have to update Vassal to get in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to check just to... I'm going to have nothing to say because I'm like sitting here like, what are you guys talking about? You didn't tell me.
I can share my screen, but it is going to mess up the overlay again. So
don't worry about it. I'll go into Vassal.
Okay. So my list is 3 Mining Guild Surveyors, which is the Initiative 2s that have the talent swap with the Mag's closure. Torkel Mux with a Moldy Crow title.
I love Torkel.
None one with Dengar because it's me making a scum list at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then Unkar Plut with automated targeting priority, just so he gets consistent mods, even though he's probably going to try and bump you.
That sounds fair.
So the reason why I think this list likes obstacles is obviously the mining guilds want to fly over them to turn on their ability. They ignore asteroids when they're flying over them anyway. And then Unkar can crash into you, and if you're in or block you into him, and if he's touching you at the start, I can barrel roll you onto obstacles at the start of combat. Pardon me, at the start of combat phase. So I like big rocks for this one. So what I'm going to do, Ed, because we're not really worried about which rocks we have and where they go, because we're not going to play out early turns or anything, I'm just going to copy the rocks rather than moving them, just so you're aware. So I would, in this instance, I would take initiative because I want non-one to block you. So
can I talk about my list so we can talk about what the counter is?
Yeah.
So the list that I took would be your typical TIE swarm, meaning you're going to start off with Howlrunner and her ability to allow people to reroll attack dice to make them far more efficient at what they're doing. I have included Iden Verso, who is Howlrunner's co-pilot. Basically, she is the bullet monkey for Howlrunner. Before a friendly TIE fighter at range 1 to 0 would suffer 1 or more damage, you can spend an energy token to prevent that. So she is going to be the, hey, I'll catch that Howlrunner. She's also an Initiative 4 TIE fighter, just for the record. We also decided to start including, because I had the points, I went ahead with a named TIE fighter. I went with Night Beast. I like his ability. After you fully execute a blue maneuver, you may perform a focus action that allows him to turtle up. So he's not the best. He's only at I2, but the double action in second edition is uncommon. It's not rare. There are a lot of ships that can do it. So, but it's enough to be able to double up and then have Howlrunner's ability to help reroll some of those is actually super efficient. And then the rest of them are just completely naked TIE fighters. 1 Black Squadron, because I like the idea of having an I3 in there to kind of back up. And then I have my 3 blockers. Their whole job is just to get in the middle of things and mess things up. And that's going to be 3 Academy TIEs.
Okay.
And I like little rocks. Really tiny ones. The Great Mustachio and 2 other really tiny rocks.
So...
Because this is going to be flying in formation. You're going to have a big block of TIE fighters that kind of move in a conjuncture around the board so that they can all benefit from Howlrunner's ability.
Yeah. So what I think we should do is we go through deploying everything and then so setting up the battlefield with the rocks, then deploying, then talk about how we think it's gone. Then we'll delete everything and swap sides.
Sure. That'll work.
Yeah. So I would take initiative in this game because if non-one's there to block. So if he's not moving and then blocking you, he's losing the action. We've got a bit of overlap. You've got Night Beast at 2 as well, did you say? So
Night Beast is 2, correct.
Yeah. So he goes at the same time as all my stuff, so it's extra stuff that could block me. And I would rather move as early as possible to get my positioning. None of my stuff is like double reposition, so I don't need to move last. So I would have taken the 3 biggest rocks I could. And because I get to place first, I get to make sure I place 2 of my own obstacles at a minimum.
Correct.
So I'll take this one first. So I've taken the big rock from the original core set, and I would place it. So what I want to try and do, if I'll just place it, and then we'll talk about the whys later. So
do we want to get rid of the obstacles that aren't there? Because duplicating those, I guess I don't really know which ones was your second big rock.
It doesn't matter because you can take, as long as I don't duplicate.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's true. Okay, I understand.
You could take the same rock, but you're going to take the small ones. So in this instance, there should never be 2 of the same rocks on the table. Because you're taking 3 small, I'm taking 3 big.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the other large rock.
Yeah, so you want...
And I'm going to put that way down here.
Yeah, okay. And then, so that's... so he's put a rock right on the 2-2 corner for me. I put it a little bit further into the table. And the next biggest rock, I believe, is the Force Awakens number 1. And I would put it, in this instance, I would want to go over here. So I'm kind of making a diagonal line about 30 degrees, coming down from the 2-2 line into like the center of my deployment area.
Okay, and then I am going to take this one here. Where's the range again? Here we go. We'll make sure we just put that right over about there.
So you've done like a little triangle kind of shape.
Yeah, for those of you who are doing in the audio, more towards Kris's deployment zone, kind of in a little triangle, and they basically bunch these 3 rocks up into a 3-pointed triangle.
Yeah. So then you'd have Mustachio, and I assume the other Force Awakens small one.
Correct.
So this one here would be your other one. So I would go over here. Yeah. So still on my side of the table, and now I need to check range. That might be a little bit close. Auto range to obstacle. I don't know what that does. I don't know. I'm at range 1 of something. Control L. There we go. Yeah, I was at range 1. See, I was right.
Mm-hmm.
I was right. I am bad at the game. Okay, that's where I put that. So just off center of the my deployment zone, about 2/3 of the way in. There we go. This is what I expected. So Ed's trying to build a wall of rocks, basically going up, zigzagging up my deployment zone.
And I succeed.
Yep. And then there's a giant open space on Ed's side of the table, and that's fine. So then my initiative 1 would go down first, which is Nom Nom, and he likes turning in which direction? He likes turning right. No, left. He likes turning left. I've flown this ship before, so he needs to... I'm just going to zoom out quickly while I move the old rocks out of the way. So that's my initiative 1 pilot, Ed, so you can do yours next.
Okay, so I am going to start my wall of disruption.
So I place Nom Nom heading down the table and in basically just off the center to the right of my deployment zone. And Ed's going in the gutter just on his left flank. So if Nom Nom continues flying straight and then turns left, he would be jousting these 3 initiative 1 TIE fighters.
Correct.
Okay, and then it will be the rest of my squad. So...
Actually, let me make one minor adjustment.
Yeah, not a problem.
I'm eyeballing this. I'm kind of doing this a little haphazard. Why can't it won't let me adjust to like 1/2 inches here? It's weird.
I think it's not like nudge. I can't remember.
Yeah, like I can't nudge it like 1/4 of an inch. It's weird. That's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't need precise. I mean, well, if I'm going to play a full game in formation, then I do need precise. But this will be fine for demonstration purposes.
Yeah. Then I would like to go with Parkhill would go here. Unkar Plut will go here. And then my 3 mining guild.
I get it too.
Oh, no, but all mine are 2s.
Oh, right.
So all mine go down before yours. Okay. So I've gone. Torkill's facing into a table just in front of Nomwam. Then Unkar is behind Nomwam. And then the 3 mining guilds are still centered, but up the table on my left flank a little bit, pointing directly at some asteroids. Who knew?
Because they're unaffected by them.
They are indeed unaffected by the asteroids for movement. Oh, the other thing I do need to do, obviously, is...
It won't let me nudge the direction I really need this to go.
Put Torkill's mobile arc to a right-hand side.
Oh, it's fine. So we're going to put you down there and put Hal down here. And if I do that right... Where's... Don't they have a range? Just a good old generic range? Check over that parts. They do not.
So, you're pretty much deployed now and the rocks are all down. So, my goal in placing these rocks was that I wanted to have the fight take place in an obviously open area, because that's where Ed Swarm's going to want to go. He's not going to want to play in the rocks because he's not stupid. He wants to keep his formation to get the benefits of Iden and Hellrunner. So he needs to have an open point. So by ensuring that we get an open point, I know that Ed was either going to set up in the top right-hand side and fly down the table, or in the bottom left-hand side and fly straight at me. He's gone for the bottom side facing me. So that means that I can come in with the mining guild ties and try to fly over the rock wall that I made along the top left edge of the table to try and activate their abilities. And then as long as I stall and let him get closer to the rocks on my side, I have those options. Whereas if Ed had deployed in the top right, or his right-hand flank and flown down the table, I could have basically switched the positions of the TIE fighters and had them come across the big rocks as well that Ed placed instead, if that makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my thought process for building what I built, I knew the very first thing he was going to do was put a big rock towards the front of my deployment zone. Mostly because it's going to be a big obstacle that's going to disrupt a big swath. Because when you run a swarm like this that are trying to stay in close formation because they're trying to benefit from some aura ability like that, they're all going to try to be as close as they can and try to fly in a formation. So putting a big rock right in front of me kind of busts up that formation. So in my mind, that top half of the board is basically off limits at this juncture because it's going to break up the formation almost immediately after I start my first movement activation phase. So I wanted to make sure that the second largest rock on the board was as far away from me as humanly possible. So I had either two options. Either I could put it in the top left and just if I'm going to have a no-fly zone, I can just put both big rocks up there, or hope to do what I was able to do, which was build a wall in front of his entire deployment zone. Now, granted, his TIE fighters can go through those without a problem, but the rest of his ships can't. So there are things that I'm building a wall in front of him that he's either going to have to come right at me and right into the kill zone of my formation, getting all the rerolls, or he's going to have to go through the rocks and negotiate.
Yeah. So do you want to talk through how you'd open in this instance?
So I'd want to see what your plan would be with those TIE fighters, because I know that they're probably going to come hard and fast, and I want to be able to react to those. So at this juncture in the game, it becomes target priority. What is the first thing that you want to get off the board? And maybe I'm wrong, but my assessment on this one is I'm assigning Torkil Mux the highest priority. I'd like to get him off the board first. And then I'd like to get Nom Lam off. Because while the others are all, like, the Mining Guild ties are really cool, if I stay away from the rocks, their special ability doesn't really affect me. So the ones that do affect me are things like Torko's ability and Nom Nom's. I'd like to be able to get those off the board as quickly as possible. So whenever he placed lower left going in that direction, that's the direction I want to counter. I want to try to get those 2 ships off the board as quickly as possible. If I stay away from the rocks, like I should, TIE fighters are just TIE fighters.
Yep.
And I've got more of them.
Okay, so do you want to... So seeing as we're not going to do multiple lists on this one, do you want to go through...
Sure, we can probably go through a couple of turns.
Yeah. So I went through the motions of setting some dials.
Oh, see, I didn't do that.
I know, that's right, because you were talking. So for me, the first thing you need to do against Hyle and Iden Swarm is you need to get rid of Iden's ability. So you just need to shoot anything. If you kill an Academy and they choose not to use Iden, that's a win for you, because there's still a ship down. So my target priority is irrelevant until Iden's gone. I just need to shoot stuff, because if I kill an Academy and he chooses not to use Iden, I'm still winning. If I then shoot a second Academy and he chooses again to not use Iden, at some point he has to burn her. And then as soon as Iden's gone, you can switch on to trying to focus down Hell Runner. What I mean by that is don't take bad shots at Hell Runner if you're fighting with Iden, because it's irrelevant. You take the best shots you can, and if you kill something, great. That makes sense?
Makes sense. My target priority, of course, since I put Torkomax in the highest possibility, I want to make sure, see which way he's going to go. The way that he's currently positioned with the mobile arc heading to the lower right, my suspicion is he's going to fly through those rocks. So the question becomes is, do I speed my way to get there and try to take him out, and then face the wrath of everything else that's coming? In this instance, with this much wide space, I want to see the board develop a little bit more, so I tend to slow roll. So for me, it's going to be, let's see where he's going. Let's see if I can get an idea, because those opening moves will really give you an idea of what pathway he intends to go through there.
Yep, makes sense to me. Yeah, so I would be moving first. I think it's Control R. Is it Control R? I don't know anymore. Oh, it's not Control, so Control S. There we go, yeah. And then K, C for collision, moves me back. So Nom-Wom bumps into Torkil at the start. To no one's great surprise. Then I get to see where Ed moves his Academy pilots.
So we literally just talked this through, but it's going to be a nice 2 straights, and they're all going to focus.
Yeah, so then it's my entire list goes next. So
correct.
Control S, so Torkil stays still and stresses. The Quadrajet Tractor Space Tug Array or Unkar Pluck just as a 2 straight. And then all of my mining guilds all do 2 straights and focus. So I was slow rolling a little bit and then not really doing anything else.
Both of us very careful.
Yep.
And my swarm stays in formation and just continues on down the line. So now the next moves are going to be interesting. He's got a stress ship that has to go through. He could probably self-bump Nom-Wom one more time if he wants him to stay back there and stay out of the action, but I don't think that's what he wants to do. I could be wrong. But my thought process is he's going to put the lowest movement on Torkil to clear that stress because he doesn't really want to get him into combat just yet. So then the question becomes, at one point in time with a swarm like this, the question becomes is when do you flinch? Because the minute you start turning ships, there are ways to spread them out correctly so that you can make your banks. If you're doing turns, the hard turns, they're always going to end up in the right spot. So a lot of players beginning will start off with hard turns because they're always going to end up in the same position they were before. They're not going to bump. It's when you start doing those banks. And for me, I always wait to do the banks until I know where things are going. And right now I don't have enough information to really get an idea where things are going. I know that I could probably pull off another 2 straight, maybe even a 3 straight before I have to decide to turn. So on my next turn, I'm probably going to be thinking, all right, because what I want to do is the flight path I want to carve out is I basically want to do a little racetrack. Because I want to come down here, down the bottom side of the board, and then I want to eventually turn up into the board and take on those other TIE fighters and take those down. So basically I'm going to go, down, hard left, take those out, maybe have room for K turns and pull back in and come back down through the line. That's what my thought process is.
Yeah.
Because what you really...
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, looking at Ed's setup, I would do a 2 straight just to see what Kris is gonna do with his lower ships there.
Yeah, this isn't a game. We're not actually trying to play each other to win the game. This is literally open discussion in theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm I need to close the trap a little bit more. So it's too early. Ed's not committed enough for me to be able to swing everything in yet. I need him to be closer to my corner, because if I try and come out now, he can get range 3 shots on me, and he's going to get more range 3 shots on me than I would get on him. So that's not good. So what I want to do is wait at least one more turn before I commit to anything. Because if he goes slow, then if he goes fast, I would be okay committing now. But if he goes slow, I can't afford to take that risk just yet. So non-warm. I didn't really look at the setup. So if this clears, it's fine. I did a move, and it doesn't really matter if I messed up or not. So we'll see. It doesn't clear, so that's good.
Self bumps, basically.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
And then we get to see exactly how quick these TIE fighters have gone.
And since I literally talked about my entire strategy, Kris knows exactly how far those TIE fighters are going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did 2s. So now I know where his backline is going to be as well. So I can start planning for my next turn.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do all of the mining guilds. They all go, one of them lands on a rock, but it's a mining guild. I literally don't care. And yeah, that should be fine. They're all done. They'd all have focus tokens. Whoop-de-doo. So the one that Ed's actually interested in would be Torquil. He's going to do a bank towards the center of the table now, because his job of blocking is finished. If Ed had gone fast at this point, I do have a red boost available, so I would boost further out of arc.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually quite happy with this positioning, and Unkar is going to reverse.
So you had mentioned in the previous turn about closing, or the beginning of this turn about closing the trap. Do you kind of want to talk about what your thought process is in there? Because you're basically doing a vice, is really what you're doing.
Yeah, so the meat of my list is obviously the 3 named pilots, and I put them in a position where they could be isolated. So once you set up in that gutter, I needed to convince you to keep coming down that gutter, because ideally I want to either be behind you or attacking down your column.
Right, where they can't shoot.
Yeah, I don't want to fly into the front arc of 7 TIE fighters.
Why not?
Who can say? So by closing the trap, what I want to do is get you in a position where Non-Wom is going to be blocking. So you can't just come and turn around the corner, because Non-Wom's going to be there and he moves before you. So he's going to move in and just be in your way. So if you try and turn, Non-Wom's going to block you. And then if you try and turn early, you've got the rocks that you placed. So that's kind of my hope at the moment, that I can get these TIE fighters into range 3, start doing anything interesting, and get Unkar and Non-Wom into you whilst Torquil does his things.
Yeah, I'm crazy enough. I'd do like a 2 bank with edge ships.
So as this, we're sitting here looking at this going on, that is something I'm genuinely debating. Like, so, but you can't really do the shoot because you're going to self bump.
Well,
so you need to kind of.
I mean, yeah, you got to, certain ones have to do 2, and others will have to do 3s.
Right. Because that's what I'm sitting here thinking. Like, genuinely, I'm trying to figure out. Like, so if I do 3 turns, where does everyone end up?
Yeah.
Like, if the whole squad does 3 turns, where do they end up? Kind of thing. So I don't think
you're
that's the right.
To do a turn, not a bank.
Well, so that really becomes a question, because legitimately at this juncture in the game, dice rolls are eminent. So it's going to be key. It's going to be important for me to maintain my tokens so that I can use them for defense. And the whole purpose behind the Academy ties are for blocking.
Yeah.
So I really want them out in front. So if I'm going to be facing down 3 TIE fighters coming from I don't want those what I don't want is I don't want to do another slow roll at this juncture, because it's just going to be TIE fighters coming down my column and I can't shoot back. So I know that Non-Wom cannot self-bump him. Well, I mean, I guess he could probably try to pull off a 1 hard turn and bump into Torquil again. I suppose that is possible. Torquil can slow roll in there, and then, like, I have a feeling that those 3 named characters are going to stay on the outside for another round of combat. So then the question becomes is, how do I respond to that? So do I do 1s, 2s, and 3s? Let's see how that works out. Because technically, all right, I want to try something just to see how this works out. I genuinely don't know if this is going to work.
K turns?
No, I'm not going to do K turns. So again, this is not my move. This is the what if I do hard 3 turns? Where do they end up?
You don't want to do hard threes.
If I do a hard 3s, they come up into this column here, which pushes me in the wrong direction.
Right. That's why I said you should do banks.
Right.
Yeah,
banks would give you enough of an angle that you could,
Where's the undo? Damn it, I can't find that.
Yeah, it's black, isn't it? You just go...
There we go. So clearly the hard 3s are not working because it's going to put you in that column. It's going to put you facing those rocks, which is not what you don't want. There is a column pretty much where the ties are coming down in that you could probably drive up through that, but you're not there yet. That's why I'm iffy on doing the banks because then I have to self-bump twice.
I think Kris is going to do some banks with those ties. Try and get them to start lining up on taking you down.
Potentially. So I think I am going to go with the cheater's move. I'm going to go one more. This is probably...
move. 2 straight once again.
Yeah, this is probably a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
Well, so here's the problem. So if I do banks, they all self-bump. They get out of formation, and then when I come out of that formation, I have to do banks again and self-bump again.
Well, if you do different numbers, you don't bump. So if you...
all right, we'll give that a shot.
I mean, you've played before. You know that certain ones have to go a 2 and other ones have to go a 3 in order for you to keep formation.
Yeah, you're right. All right, fine. They don't have one banks, though, so I have to do
2s and 3s.
Yeah, I know. The other way. So
see, I do this crazy stuff, and that's why I beat you.
Night Beast, and so that's a 2. That's a 2.
I'm not afraid to pull off those unpredictable crazy moves.
Where is it?
I have a dial out there. I have Hell Runner's dial out there, so I gotta go get.
I was in 2 bank, 3 bank, so you can measure which ones need to do which.
No, I would have tried to. I think I know what I need.
It hasn't played in forever. He forgets.
I don't mind. It's not a real game. So
let me see if I remember.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This is gonna be bad. So there's the Academy ties. Those should be the tops. Those should be the bottoms. All right, let's see how bad I did this.
Oh, I go first. So John moves here. So he's basically now hiding behind this rock because if you go straight, my corner should be the closest point to you.
Mm-hmm.
So by giving me that big rock in the corner and that setup, I get to use it to try and shield myself, get an extra evade dice. Don't need to rotate his turrets, it's non-1. So I just take the focus for defense and hope that if you go straight, 2 dice probably against 3. If you go quick, if you did a 5 straight, non-1 probably takes massive damage. But at that point, I can probably get him away because I can get past you next round if you go 5 straight. Or else just bump into you. And it's all crazy. But yeah,
it'll be fun.
That's non-1.
All right, here goes. So now... TIE Fighters do have the ability to barrel roll out, but I don't think I'm going to go for that option. So this one probably bumps? Nope.
None of them should bump.
No.
You had a big enough gap between that you could bank all of them the same bank, I think.
Well, that was what my hope in my original setup was, but I want to make sure.
Yeah.
And then...
We weren't planning when we originally did it to do all of it, but yeah, it's fine.
So those are those. Now the rest of your squad.
Yep. So then we will do... the 3 mining guilds first, so... Oh, man, did they all fly on ropes?
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So, I would have 1 currently not shooting, so... I can't barrel roll. I can barrel roll. Yeah, so the guy who can't shoot will barrel roll. If I'd have moved them individually and been thinking about it, I could have moved this guy first and barrel rolled him out of the way.
Right.
But I moved them all at the same time, so I'm not going to cheat. It's fine. But yeah, you can do, we know where you are now, so being able to get a ship kind of behind you. So left as forward as possible. No, running up as backwards as possible. Sorry, undo. Because I want to run over the rock again. I'll roll back left backwards as possible. Yes, it doesn't quite fit anyway. But yeah, it's not going to get it. But going backwards gives you more chance to get a rock again.
Yep.
And then no one's in range 2, so their ability doesn't trigger. And then Torkel,
2 straight?
2 straight, yeah.
Yep. He's going to keep him way over there.
Behind that rock.
Yep. Use the rock for cover.
Yeah. Probably don't get enough cover from that. So what I might be tempted to do is actually try and boost him out, maybe. I could do a 1 straight boost, and then that's definitely range on a couple of them. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll try the boost straight, and that stresses him again. And then Unkar does the 3 straight, and he's going to take the red evade action.
Ooh.
He's about to get shot.
No, I'll focus. It's fine. Okay. So that's all of my moves.
So Night Beast. Gonna give himself a little focus. And then we are going to go with... Yeah, I want to make sure to do this in the order. It's going to be the Black Squadrons next. That's the only one that bumped. So I hit C, and then delete that. Wait, why didn't it go away? Is it Control D? Because it's Control D.
Yeah, I've got
That's
it.
why. Thank you. So it goes Iden next.
That was close.
That was damn close.
We just threw the ships down. We didn't worry about formation too much.
Oh, she should have been a 2.
Yep.
Yeah. The
That's
person in
okay.
front of her did a 2, so she should have been a 2.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
okay. I'll take that. Okie dokie.
So at the start of engagement, no one is in contact with Unkar.
Nope.
But talk kill happens, so I have to check his arcs. I don't even remember how you do this. I'm so bad at everything.
Just go Control F.
I need the mobile arc.
Oh, isn't it Control M? Or that's what actually rotates it.
Put a different colored dot on him. It's no
Yeah, I've
good.
seen that.
Show firing out. Show mobile. There we go.
There you go.
So I will make Night Beast an initiative 1.
Woo!
Not initiative 0, even.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Alt F for mobile firing arc. So Night Beast is initiative 0. He's been muxed.
Got it.
Everybody's favorite, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, so beginning of combat then.
Yeah. So Hell Runner goes first.
No shots for Howl. We go into 4s. No shots for Iden. Black Squadron. Black Squadron's only got one option, which is going to be your number 3.
Yeah.
And he's going to go ahead and take his shots. Ooh, hit crit from the Black Squadron.
Roll 4 dice because of range. So he takes a crit. And this is why, evidently, we took damage cards.
That would be why.
And flip. So that would be a fuel leak. Not great, but whatever.
So the net, so that's it. Because I've got a 0 and 3 1s.
Yep. So I would shoot back with my 2s now. So this guy up here on the rock doesn't get a shot because he's on the rock. We only ignore it in the movement phase. Control F, firing arc. So I've got a range 3 at Night Beast, so we'll take it.
Sure.
Roll 2, hit crit. Anything you can do, I can do equally as well.
Ooh, 2 evades out of Night Beast.
Yeah. Then the next guy, same shot. He'll spend his focus.
For 2 hits.
2 hits.
Is Iden in range? How do I... There's no rangefinders on this?
It would be target lock.
Oh, why can't I find it? Why?
Toggle right arc. There you go. Range 2 of Night Beast.
So her ability does not go off, correct? Because it's range 1 to 0. Okay, so she can't even absorb that, so he's going to go, I guess...
You take a hit, or do you spend the focus?
So here's what I'm debating. One of the best pieces of advice for early game is if you can take a ship off the board, do it.
Yep.
Now, this ship has already suffered a crit. He's at range 3, so he's going to be getting an extra die. So having the ability to have that focus there to almost ensure that I'm going to be putting at least 1 damage on him, I think it's worth taking the hit. So he is going to go ahead and take that hit.
Okay.
On the Night Beast.
Then Orko. We already know Night Beast is in range, so it's 2 dice, no mods, nothing. Funkar Plut. Range 3. What is it? It's Control Shift F, is it?
Yeah, I was going to say
unobstructed.
I would guess unobstructed.
I have to pick a target in the closest range band, which luckily it's still Night Beast. I'll spend his focus for 2 hits.
Okay, so we're going to go 4 defense dice. Oh, so now I have to spend that, otherwise Night Beast is dead.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and spend my focus. And he is going to take another damage card. So Night Beast
And that's all of my twos.
So this gets me down to my ones. So let's start with Academy tie number 1. Can't shoot. Oh, no. I mean, I could.
It's obstructed, but you do have a shot.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? So we're going to roll 2 dice. We're going to take my Howl Runner reroll.
I'm a terrible person.
Hit crit.
Okay, so 3 dice. I will spend it to take a shield.
It landed, just for the record.
Then, would you like to spend your focus, or do you want to let me roll a dice from Dengar?
No, I'm going to go ahead and spend my focus because all your ships are fired.
Except for that one.
Yeah.
And I have to rotate Namwam so that you're in arc, and you are, so done.
Mm-hmm. Academy tie number 2. Okay, so there is our first shot onto our already damaged tie, so we are going to go ahead and take that shot. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take my Howl Runner reroll, and I'm going to spend my focus for a hit and crit.
Rolling 4. I'll spend the focus for 0.
Now, if this works out, Night Beast, range 3. Come on, buddy. You can do it.
Did you not forget Academy number 3?
What's that?
You forgot
Academy Pilot.
No, I didn't forget Academy Pilot number 3. Academy Pilot 3 was the one that did the damage on non-long.
So you forgot number 2? You've only done 2 Academy shots.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you've not done Academy Pilot number 3 yet.
That lowest one still has their focus.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so you have another shot on non-one if you want. You can choose to not take it, but I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah.
So that's this one down here.
That one fired.
That's the one you shot at Nom.
The lowest one.
Yeah.
Oh, this one down here. Yes.
Who still has a focus.
Yeah.
Yes. Go for it. Double hit.
And takes another shield.
Another shield. See?
And then I have to spend the token to prevent that from happening.
No, it's only once.
Gotcha. So now.
So Nom-Lom would go.
Yeah, Nom-Lom would fire next. How did I turn the bullseye on?
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
I turned it on. I don't want it on now. I fat fingered something. I don't know. No. He's going to fire at the guy with no focus who shot at me.
Academy Pilot number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. So he is in Aiden's range. I think Aiden's going to... On an Academy tie?
Here we go. There we go. Mission accomplished.
Isn't it obstructed range 3?
Yeah, so you should be 2 more dice then.
Oh, why did I only do that? Okay, so where do we roll a blank and a focus? Let's do 2 more.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay, all right. Now Night Beast.
Now Night Beast gets to take his swings. Go, Night Beast, go.
It's range 3.
We'll take my Howl Runner reroll, and still got nothing. Damn it. That's typical.
Yeah. Okay,
so now we see if any of this actually works.
So
I would do 1 more round because that theoretically is when all of my stuff should turn on.
Correct. So the question then becomes is what do I find to be the bigger threats? He has no rocks to go through.
Yeah, you avoided my Magsab closure, so now it's basically Nom-Lom and all of my other fun stuff.
Correct.
Nom-Lom's going to have to go straight to avoid that rock.
Correct.
But he can rotate that firing arc, so fun there.
Right, and so a 2 straight can actually put him in a position where he's not getting shot, though. And a 2 straight puts me in a horrible position on the next turn.
But a 2 straight will land him on that rock.
No, I'm talking for my moves.
Oh, I thought you were talking Nom-Lom. I think 2 straight might still clip that rock. Then again, I'm not used to this scale, so.
Mm-hmm. So, Academy type of Umber.
What do these guys have in the 1 range?
What do you mean?
On the dial, the ties.
Nothing.
I honestly don't
know. 1 hards.
1 hards, that's it. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Well, this is where I would say use your academies to do some blocking.
It's funny you should say that.
It'd be a real shame if Unkarput and Nom-Lom enjoy blocks. Did Unkarput do damage?
No.
He didn't, did he? So he has a calculate
He just lost
token.
Craig.
Oh, no.
Craig just committed suicide because he's worthless.
You need me to hold?
No, I'm doing a double record, so it should be fine. I'm going to get him back in now. Just give me a second. Where are we? This one. There we go. Done. So, what was I doing? Yeah, cool. I'm set. What was I talking about? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Unkarput gains a calculate because you dodged his shot.
Oh, gotcha.
It wasn't him. Did he do a damage? Who did damage to Night Beast? It was the first shot, wasn't it? I'll scroll up.
All right. We'll see how this goes. This turn will probably determine how the game's going to turn out, by the way. You'll be able to tell after this turn.
Not 100%, but it'll be pretty decisive, I think.
Sufficient enough to prove our points. How's that sound?
Yeah.
We'll see just how bad it is after this.
So Namwam does a 3 bank and then will be barrel rolling to the left and forwards. In fact, will I barrel roll forwards? Yeah, I will. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Left as forwards as possible, and that stresses me. But should catch number 3, I think. And that's my 1.
Oh, academies. Go, boys, go. You can do it. It's Academy 2. And Academy 3. Correctamundo. Nice block.
So that's your 1. So my 2s go next. And we will do this guy first. And focus. This guy. And focus.
Nice.
This guy and bump. And they can go over here. Torkill. Clears its stress.
Nice move.
And he'll just focus. He's happy to just let you split some fire, shoot some different ships. Then Unka, I wasn't really sure if I was going to need to barrel roll Nom or not, but I did. So he'll bump now.
Coming up the works. That is old Night Beast. He's going to do... He gets his free focus. Now, is that perform or is that...
It's a quiet. It's a perform a free focus action, sorry. So you can't double stack focus.
So he's going to evade.
But it should say on your card, so I'll double check.
It does.
You may perform a focus action, yeah.
And then that's the rest of my squad then, correct?
Yeah, I'm all done.
There's a black squadron coming in.
You spent Iden's charge, remember? No, you didn't. Because you didn't roll enough dice. Yeah, so I remember.
I'm going to come in with a focus and Howlrunner. That's fine. I was hoping she'd have cleared that. I actually debated 3, which is probably what I should have done, because it doesn't get enough of the rerolls in there that I'm going to want. Because how do you do the target lock one again?
I couldn't remember.
There you go, Ed.
Arcs, target lock control. Oh yeah, no, I still catch enough. I still catch 4 ships. Oh, there we go. All right. Do you have pre-combat maneuvers you need to do?
I do. Control Alt F, sorry, that one. So I will. I think we'll do Academy Pilot number 1. No, that's stupid. What am I talking about? We'll do Night Beast again.
That figures. Okay. Old Howlrunner. So again, going under the theory of trying to take a ship out as much as possible, we are going to go ahead and put our range 2 shots into number 3.
Yep, I bumped to number 3, so...
I know. And she gets to use her own ability, finally, for 2 hits.
1 evade, down to 1.
That is going to be Iden next. Same bat channel. We are going to use our Howlrunner reroll and spend our focus.
And takes a crit, which is Wounded Pilot, which gives me another damage card and flips Feel Weak, and is dead.
So now I have
my 2s.
My 3.
Oh, you have 3? Yeah, you're black, yeah.
Yeah, you left that one alone. So my choice of range 1 shots, both of them are focused, both of them are undamaged. I've got a distinct feeling that Night Beast is going to be out of firing arc for MGS 1. So I'm going to focus on MGS 2, where I think I'm going to get the most shots. So I'm going to take that range 1 shot.
Yeah.
And my Howlrunner Reaver for a hit, and a crit.
I'll spend my focus and just take a crit.
Of course you are.
And the crit is structural damage. So I'm crappier at evading.
So that is my 3.
Yeah, so my 2s go next. So we will do Unka Put. Will shoot at AP2.
You got it.
He gains his focus token off automated targeting priority. It is calculate, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I believe Unka Put is a must. So I gain a tractor token, and so does Nom1. In case that might... Howlrunner maybe could have shot at Unka, if you care.
No, I'm fine with the. I'm
He was
fine with
more
the order.
focused on taking one
Yeah,
ship
I
off.
assume so.
Yeah, my hope now is that if I could take potentially 2 ships off the board,
I'll spend a calculate for 2 for a hit crit.
and this is going into, you said AP3?
AP2. I have to do 2 because he's in the closer range band.
Gotcha, AP2.
Yeah.
So AP2 has a focus, or do I Iden him? I think I'm going to Iden him. So
Okay.
Iden's going to remove her token. The hell, this is the last turn, so Iden's going to use her token.
Yep, so
I'll put a thing on her thing to remind me that her token's off. There we go. Got it.
he does hit, so automated targeting priority doesn't give me a calculate back. Then we would do range 2 onto a black. Oh, wasn't it? No, it's range 1, wasn't it? Range 1 on the black.
Yeah, it's still range 1, yeah.
On crit.
Come on, TIE Fighter. 1 of 8.
Okay. We'll do Torko. We'll do range 2 onto AP1.
Got it.
Double crit.
Oh, I didn't even hear the dice.
I saw it pop.
1 of 8. All right. Well,
crit.
there's not much. Yeah, not much I can do about that. So AP1's taking a crit, and it's going to be suffer 1 damage and repair this card. Direct hit. So it's actually 2.
Okay, and then we'll do.
So that was AP1.
And we'll do Mining Guild Surveyor number 1.
Same target, I assume.
Yeah, I'll spend it for 2.
Damn. Oh no, he's got a focus token.
He does.
Yeah.
Spend it to stay alive. You can do it, buddy. I believe in you.
Yeah, and then year 1s, and then year 0.
So my 1s. So starting with AP2, range 2 into MGS2. Use my. Is he in the reroll or not? I don't know. I think he is. He's one of the 2 that's in the reroll. So, okay, he does get, and he will spend that token for 2 hits.
Takes 1.
So he's down to 1, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so now I'm down on my no reroll APs. I just clip him at range 2.
Yep.
I have to.
Sorry, we hit on the wrong one there. Sorry.
Is that range 2 or range 1? That's range 2.
Do Control Shift F.
Control Shift F. Hang on. So it's Control Shift F. Oh, yeah, it's range 2.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Woo! 2 hits.
Yeah. Just give me a second. I just need to fix the health on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I don't really, because this is the last round.
Yeah,
he's dead.
And last but not least, Night Beast is going to throw down on Torkel, who was my original target.
Well, doesn't his other ship go first?
Yep. And Nom One would go next.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're right. I apologize. You are correct, sir.
I think Nom Lam has a shot on Night Beast.
Yeah, I'm going to take it. Probably not on Night Beast, so. That's it. I'll take a range 1 on onto Hellrunner.
Boo.
Hit crit.
Really big boo. I knew it. I knew she was taking a crit. Every time she gets shot at. It's going to be direct hit, by the way. Direct hit.
Yep.
Every time she gets shot at, that is what happens. The first
saved Iden.
Yep. Well, yeah, you're probably right.
That's it. As soon as you used Iden, I told you what was going to happen. I was going to start focusing on Hellrunner. So you kill.
So now Night Beast.
Now I get my 2 shots on Torkel. Hey, 2 hits.
And it was range 2, wasn't it?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, so it takes a shield.
Yep.
Okay, so I lost 2 Mining Guild ties and some shields off of the stuff.
Correct.
Yep.
You lost half points on Ho.
Half points on How. Half points on Night Beast. Half points on the Academy tie. You have 3 TIE fighters out there that are all down to 1 hull.
So you're currently winning by 3 points, but I feel like I'm still doing okay.
Yeah, because you've got enough that you can take shots. You can mop Hellrunner up in 1 shot. You can mop Night Beast up in the Academy tie in 1 piece. Like, they've done what they're going to do. Because the following turn after this, the swarm has to break up.
Yeah.
There's no other choice at this juncture. So sure, some of the ones towards the top of the board might go off after Torkel. Some of the others will probably K-turn to try to see if they can come back and take out Nom Lam maybe. But like legitimately, this is the point in time in flying every swarm. Well, at some point in time, contact happens and the swarm breaks up. So what you hope is that opening volley, that 1 shot where you get as many rerolls as humanly possible is in there, that you do something like they did, which is take 1 or 2 ships off the board. That's the most you can genuinely hope for. You're never going to be able to keep a swarm in formation the entire time.
No.
I'm relatively happy with how it went as well, because Nom-Wom gets out of the way for Unkar Put to start crashing into people.
Yep.
So Unkar's happy, Nom's happy, and Torkil's still alive. So and Yuki's hiding. So yeah.
Yeah, because effectively what ends up happening is I have to basically send 4 TIE fighters after Torkil to get him off the board, which means I'm ignoring the other TIE fighter. And that leaves a 1 hit point Hull Runner with 2 other ships to potentially take down Nom-Lam, which is not going to happen in 1 round of shooting. So Hal's going to die, and then that leaves 2 TIE fighters chasing after that.
Do you want to do just some movement from this round, not worry about actual combat?
Sure. It's getting kind of late. It is getting kind of late, though.
Yeah, we'll be done once we do.
Sure.
Talk about was how the differences I would have chosen for your deployment and stuff.
Sure. I might have to ask for a 2-minute nature break though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if it were me, what would I do in this situation?
Issue.
Cry.
I think he's gonna make that.
Always a good thing to hear.
I think they're gonna make that.
Oh, you can't do that. I'm a terrible player. I'm terrible at X-Wing.
So that's over.
It's all right. You're playing Ed, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I for a moment, I thought that the stress was on Unkar, not on Nom-Wom. So I nearly dialed in an illegal move.
Yeah, I think he'll make that. Sorry, you made me think.
No, it's okay. I'm pretty happy that I know how this all goes, so I'm not massively concerned. It should be fun, though.
That's AP2.
So what I'll do is, while you're thinking, I'll talk about what I would have done differently for your obstacles.
Sure.
So the first thing I would have done if I was flying Ed's Swarm is I would have taken 3 gas clouds instead of the small rocks, because then I can effectively just put the gas clouds right on my table edge and fly over them in the first round, and it's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Because the worst case scenario is you end up suffering a strain as well as not getting your action. But if it's the first turn, you shouldn't be in combat, so you're going to be then doing a 2 or whatever. Like you did, what was it, 3 2s on the trot or 3 blue moves on the trot?
Correct.
So you had lots of time to clear the strain you would have potentially gained. But that makes it even easier for you to have that open table that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, I have it in hindsight. I agree. All right, we're ready to
go. Yeah. So Nom-Wom isn't going to do a 4K because he's stressed. He's going to do the 3.
Oh, I squeezed in.
Which fits because I am not that terrible at the game.
I thought
it is.
I thought that the Black Squadron was going to block that.
And he's going to link it into a rotation.
Of course he is.
Anti-clockwise, which stresses him.
I was convinced that I had blocked him in.
Oh, so that's my 1s.
Oh, fine.
So I should point out the obvious mistake that I made as well. Torkil should have used his ability on the Black Squadron, not on Night Beast, because I only had 2 ships who could shoot Night Beast. So I could have shot more ships at at the Black Squadron, who out-initiatives me, so can initiative kill me, which is what happened. If I had left Night Beast, I would have died to the same shot, but I would have been initiative still on the table to get the shot back. So that was a mistake from my part, just through not really thinking about it.
All right, good sir, you're up.
Okay, so lots of bumps here. Oh, big sad. We will... I think this will be fun. Let's check ranges. Draw F. Range 2. Oh no. Range 2 in the range 1 to Iden. Range 1. Range 1. Okay, so I am going to tractor beam this gentleman here, and he's going to barrel roll left and backwards.
Imagine that.
Would you like to roll a damage dice?
No. Oh, you bastard.
Okay.
He's got his damage card on him.
Yeah, good.
Got some head rolls going.
It's more that it's 1 less shot coming at Torkil, which is good for me. This guy may clear now. Oh yes,
Nice.
clears the path.
Very nice.
And we'll do that, and then Tarkill bumps.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
then
Night Beast is going to be Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if you're going straight with Torque or we're just going to shoot down the line, so I had to take a shot there.
Yeah.
Surprised you didn't barrel roll with him. It would get him out of Torkel's arc.
I don't think I have to worry about that.
Oh, wait, he's got his arc pointed off to the side anyway.
Holy crap. Got a front arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a 3 dice primary out the front. So
this is the one thing that you're going to screw up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you screwed that up. I didn't do that.
Yeah, I'd have barrel rolled with him.
It's okay. Because I think
it's not.
I think that screws up Power Runner too.
Yeah.
But I still have a lot of ships pointing in the direction I want them to be pointing.
Yeah. I only have Unkar to shoot Hell Runner.
Oh, darn. So you have pre-game.
Yeah, so I've got 3 shots on Witcher damage ones here.
So Hell Runner's got 1, Night Beast is down to 1.
Yeah.
And Academy Tie 1 is down to 1, but you're currently touching Academy Tie 1 with Torkel, which is the reason why I did that.
Yeah.
Torkel gets to make play a 0 and fun.
Yeah. Torkel can make anyone a 0, really. Probably would want to stop. Doesn't really matter, does it? Maybe Iden?
Maybe, yeah.
No, Hell Runner, because Unkar has got a better chance of killing Hyle. So yeah. So I'd have 1, 2. Yeah, I think that's fine. What were we going to say, sorry?
So the upside is how many range 1 shots did I manage to pull off on Torkel? 1, 2, and then this is going to be range 2. So I got enough shots that I can dump into Torkel. I assume because and that would be the reason, I would put Hell Runner down to 0 so that she doesn't get her shots onto Torkel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the hope, is that I can kill her, because I've not damaged Iden.
Correct.
So Torkel should take maybe 3 damage, but hopefully not 4. I mean, and that would be
that was just
rounding up for the offense. But,
what probably saves you, Torkel, was putting that Academy Tie on the right.
I agree,
because otherwise you were looking at 1, 2,
more shots.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red dice coming into Torkel.
So 1, 2. So
an untokened Torkel, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't tractored me, it would have worked out exactly the way I wanted it to.
Luckily, I was always going to be able to tractor somebody.
Right. So
I was tempted to tractor Hell Runner to barrel roll her to a right and forwards, because I felt like that would have put her where this stress token is now, bang in the middle of everything. But I figured I knew that this would remove a shot.
Yeah.
Because I thought if I put Hell Runner in the middle, -1 off her agility, take her down to 0, she's out the game. I 100% kill her this turn.
Yep, I agree.
But I figured preventing damage might be a safer bet.
Probably.
If you'd have done something weird like a 2 bank or whatever, I don't know. I can't think of what move you did now. What was it with Hell Runner?
That was a 2 bank.
Yeah. So that was So if you'd have done like a hard turn, the barrel roll actually just puts her in the middle of nowhere and I can't kill her. Whereas I want to just take ships off the board now.
It's an interesting position.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so because it's running late, I'm going to say let Kris go ahead and do his normal thing now, so I can take a real quick run, and then I'll come back while you're done.
Yeah, so as we said, we knew we were probably going to run into this being 3 shows to do a full breakdown, but I mean, obviously podcast format, it's going to be pretty hard to translate what we did and why we put stuff where we did without being able to see it.
Yeah.
But I think getting that basics down of my squad wanted to use the rocks, so I put them in a position where it was going to be easy to fly over them. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I got the rock setup that I wanted and then managed to deploy around it. The advice I'd give for placing the ships in this one is I've got a 1 and then a bunch of 2s. So against Ed's squad, he's got more 1s than me, so he's got to commit a larger portion to his squad earlier, and it's a tie swarm, so we all have to stick together. Whereas in
you know what he's going to do.
Yeah, all my ships can go on their own. None of them need range of each other to be effective.
Right.
So like putting the large base ship in the middle of the table pointing down doesn't mean anything, because I could have chosen to not block it and done a hard one and then a hard one and flown the opposite direction, or a hard one and barrel roll back. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of dodgy, slippery moves you can do there. So I think the main thing for this kind of matchup, where you want to deploy in such a way that you offer the possibility of the joust, because that's what you want, that's what they want, and that's what you want them to think that you're going to do as well.
Yeah.
And then you remove, like, did I joust Ed? Did I?
No.
Because you didn't get to shoot, like, was it 3 of your ships right at range at the start?
Correct.
And then in the next round, I blocked stuff, and and you ended up splitting. I mean, you got a good second round.
I mean, the ties kind of were setting up like almost for a joust, but not quite.
Yeah. I feel like you got you didn't get lucky on the second round, because you have Hell Runner and like the mods, so it will always feel like that player rolls well because you've got soft mods and your focuses.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucked up with Torquil and picked the wrong chip, which cost me return shot.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, it was objectively the wrong choice, so but I can recognize it and accept my mistake and not blame the dice, you see. It's learning and growing as a person.
Agreed. And that's a good thing for everyone. And knowing's half the battle.
Yeah.
The other half is bloody violence.
How did you feel about because I was saying, I don't know if you had, you could hear when you walked off, but I was saying that I felt like I won the rock placement. I got what I wanted out of it. I imagine you also felt fine.
I felt fine because legitimately I don't feel like the rocks played too much of a factor in the game. The only time that it actually played a factor in the game was whenever you tractored someone onto a rock, which was going to happen. Like, unless I had target prioritied Unkar Platz, like, I don't know. Overall, I think there's no way that you can avoid 100% of the time that. So having that happened only once,
so
and the fact the rocks didn't.
What I'll bring up, Ed, is given that that's one of your rocks, that could have been a gas cloud.
Correct. So very good point. What was the old? What was you said? Paul Heaver was one that said, like, unless you can provide me with a reason for not taking 3 gas clouds, you should be taking 3 gas clouds.
Oh, taking 3 small rocks was the default, but I think because you want to fly in a line at people, gas clouds is good for you because it doesn't really matter if you fly over them. Like, you give your worst case scenario is you lose an action and give yourself a strain, but you still get your high roll reroll, so you still got a soft mod on offense. You've still got Iden on defense, and like, you might not take the strain, and if you do, it messes up the target priority, because maybe I didn't. Like, if the guy who flies over it is a full health tie, and I want to shoot the one who's down to 1 hit, you get that for free, don't you?
Correct.
The strain a lot of the time isn't going to be relevant. Like, it's one of the things that's really good about the new. It's not the new Tevin Wexley, because it's not the snap version; it's the other subtitle, where you can in the engagement phase, people around him can flip for S foils, gain a calculate and a strain token. So your entire squad becomes strained. But if you're flying 4 T-70s, they're not going to be shooting at all 4 of them. And if they do, you win.
Right.
So, 3 of those don't actually pay a cost for using that ability. Only 1 of them gets shot. So that's what I mean about. I think Gas Cloud is a good choice for this squad.
I think I tend to agree.
I think next week we'll maybe look at doing an ace kind of list. I should message Mike back and ask what kind of list he likes to fly, so we can focus on that as well.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
I agree. That would probably be ideal to get an idea of what he's thinking, so that we can kind of cater to more his play style. I agree with that. That's a good idea.
Not a bad one.
I wanted to do something that, like, this list has a reason to take the 3 big rocks. Like, I think this is a fun list. I wouldn't say it's going to be a world beater. I literally made it as we were setting up for the show, but I wanted to use Mining Guild ties. So and I still have a love affair with Namwam. So whatever. Yeah, I don't know any other points on the game and on the deployment. Like, I think the only thing I would say on your deployment, I felt like I would change your list in that I would probably take 4 academies, and then you can take a better named pilot, or use the points for a bid, or use the points for a swarm tactics or something. Well, I don't know if Night Beast gave enough and that the Black Squadron gave enough. If you know what I mean? I think
I legitimately built the list 20 minutes before we started, so it wasn't really a ton of thought going into it.
But I think because I would want it so that I could have 4 ships in the front rank and 3 in the back, so that I can have Iden. I felt like there was more potential, and it showed that because of your deployment, they were out of range of some of them more for a couple of the early rounds. So when that put Hyrule and Iden further back, so having them on the inside of where you're never going to turn left if you're on your left flank. So you want them on the inside of the turn to keep it tighter, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
but it does become harder to plan the turns out. You've got to get used to flying those different initiative values.
Agreed. All right. So on the next time we're going to go through with a list that's catered specifically to the type of list that Mike likes to fly, and then we'll try to counter. Are you going to play as Mike this time, or?
What I was thinking as well is that I want to do an A space list as well. So we'll do. I'd probably do like a generic, do a 4X or something pretty standard.
I've got an ace list built ready to go.
Yeah, but I want to definitely do some ace deployment as well, because I think that's important to look at in this kind of conversation.
So I have Vader Suntero 5th Brother list ready to go.
Yep, we'll get it done. And we'll call it there. I think that was good enough. I will.
It's late enough, and I've got to go to work tomorrow.
I'll see if I can throw us back to the other screen. This one. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it seems like it works. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
So you can email us, like Mike did, wackofocuspodcast@gmail.com.
And get 2 shows dedicated just to you. Maybe 3.
Probably, definitely 3 now, yeah. You can find us on Facebook at Lack of Focus Podcast. These videos, if you want to watch me ineptly use Torkel Mux, you can find it on the Dice 8 YouTube channel. We do plan to do some streaming on Twitch this Saturday, or it will be last Saturday. So if you're a Patreon, you'll hear it in time. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to do Twitch streams every Saturday. I think we've managed 2 in 6 so far. So
we're gonna try. We're gonna try. Damn it.
Yeah. So you can catch us on, what's your Twitch channel, Ed?
That is going to be oldguygaming.mtga, because I still had my MTGA thing on there. So that's where I'll be streaming it.
And I've set up the Dice 8 one as well. I noticed a couple of you guys had already followed the Dice 8 Twitch channel. So that was nice of you. You can follow me on Instagram, like Chad and Ed do, and like all of my photographs and models. It's good fun. It's either food or models is my Instagram. I don't really do many pictures of Evie. I let Jill post a picture of Evie on Instagram. And then anything else? You can
Alan quit.
Alan quit as well. Okay.
Yep. I just checked.
The Discord. What am I talking about? Join us on the Dice 8 Discord, and you too can quit playing.
It's probably with us.
Yeah.
You two could be Baby Seal Clubbed and AFK'd, and then we say, "Oh yeah, it's not a worthy enough victory. We're just going to quit the game and start another."
Yeah. The Patreon as well, I suppose. I wanted to again thank you all for all of your support. You guys are awesome. I think I've got one last batch to send out, which should go out on Sunday when I'm next in the store. As I said, I've not been able to work that much this week because Joe's been working in the evening, so I haven't got in yet. But the last batch of Patreon stuff will go out then. And you can find that at Lack of Focus Podcast on Patreon or Dice 8 on Patreon. Lots of different options. You get early access to our shows. Any extra content we do goes up there. Generally, it has an early release for patrons and then it's available to everyone else anyway. I think The only Patreon exclusive stuff up there at the moment is the stuff I did with Bruno. There's a McBluff where we talk about some fire spray lists, so you can go and look at that. And I've been writing more content for the blogs and the Sentry Boxes blog, so that was fun. And that's it from me. I don't really have anything else, so I probably should have, but I didn't write it down, so whatever.
Wednesdays. All right, on that note, Chad, happy you made it. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Oh, it's great to be here. I'm glad I just got home in time to join and everything. I definitely recommend the Facebook page. Somebody likes to put a lot of great Star Wars memes up there. I think people could be liking a little bit more of them than what they do, but you know what?
I think
it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Always good to talk to you, Chris.
It's always good to be here, man. It's always good to be here.
All right, so that is going to do it for episode 76. Until next time, guys, as always, fly casual. Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.